Chapter 1045. The competition between the princes in the city for the position of crown prince didn't show any signs of weakening. However, the flames of war hadn't spread to Li Zongjiu yet. Therefore, the White Deer Mansion had been extremely quiet recently. They didn't pay attention to the disputes in the city and didn't participate. However, news of the eagle warship had gradually spread. The production of the first generation of the warship had officially started. The production factory was located in the mountain behind the White Deer Mansion. A workshop had been set up there. Many large financial groups and merchant alliances, after hearing of this matter, hurriedly brought large sums of money, saying that they wanted to invest in the White Deer residence and provide some assistance in the production of the Eagle battleship. However, the White Deer Mansion rejected these wealthy financial groups and announced a three-way cooperation with the Song family's Song Jiayu and the Qi family. The Zheng family was also given a name. After all, the Zheng family was weak. If it hadn't been for Li Zongjiu's conscience, he would have swallowed the Zheng family up long ago. Li Zongjiu didn't need to do this. If he was so short-sighted, how could he achieve great things in the future? The appearance of the Eagle warship had even alarmed the royal family's Celestial Workshop. The Celestial Workshop was the dynasty's weapons research institute. Some new heavy weapons had also come from the Celestial Workshop and were far ahead of the rest. However, the weapons that had been released and announced were only those that had been eliminated. The truly top-notch weapons had always been hidden in the depths of the Celestial Workshop. They would only be taken out at the most critical juncture. The Celestial Workshop had specially sent a master to the White Deer Mansion to consult and research. Li Zongjiu had also named the newly established workshop the 100 Ghosts Workshop. It meant the 100 Ghosts Craftsman. The 100 Ghosts Craftsman was also a very powerful figure in the legends. It was said that when he forged weapons, it was as if thousands of ghosts were helping him. He could unleash astonishing power. When Li Zongjiu's 100 Ghost Square was able to create such powerful weapons, it would naturally become famous all over the world. At that time, some of the best weapons would also be created by Li Zongjiu's 100 Ghost Square. Currently, Li Zongjiu's White Deer Mansion had several organizations set up. First was the Housekeeper's Office. The Housekeeper's Office was independently recruited by Xiao Zhao. They were mainly bookkeepers, and there were also some risk calculation and cost control. Simply put, they were there to help the White Deer Mansion make money and spend it. The second was the Office of Advisors. Some of the guest officials, aides, and Jianhu experts were all considered as part of the Office of Advisors. Currently, they were also managed by Xiao Zhao. The third was the Office of Guards. The work of the guards in the mansion was handed over to the Office of Guards. The person in charge was Liu Pei. The soldiers who had retired from the Tusk Battalion were directly trained here to protect the White Deer Mansion. They originally thought that after leaving the Tusk Battalion, they would lose the opportunity to become soldiers. Who would have thought that Li Zongjiu would change and become the Imperial Tutor? After the Imperial Tutor was conferred the title, he had the right to train 5,000 private soldiers. Therefore, these guards became soldiers again and had their military ranks again. Even the ordinary army had no binding effect on them. Not only were they a private army, but they were also subordinates of the state preceptor. As for the Imperial Tutor, only Emperor Xingyan or the joint consent of all the officials could punish him. Therefore, even if the city guards or other armies wanted to charge into the White Deer Mansion, they had enough status to block them outside. They were that unyielding, unless they had an imperial edict in their hands. Li Zongjiu was currently in the limelight. As long as he didn't commit any treason, there wouldn't be any problems. There were also the 1000 Machine Workshop, Elemental Beast Workshop, and Ghost Doctor Workshop that were transferred from Qingyuan Villa. The 1000 Machine Workshop had always been helping the White Deer Mansion to collect information. In addition, the Elemental Beast Workshop also helped Li Zongjiu raise the elemental beasts in the back mountain. They also recruited some disciples and taught them the art of taming beasts. Recently, they were also training a group of brave and valiant wasteland wolves. They were expected to be assigned to the office of guards. In this way, they would definitely be able to create an army that would cause people to tremble at the mere mention of their name. The third prince had made a move against Li Zongjiu many times. Moreover, the announcement of the crown prince's position was also imminent. Soon, it would be time to count all the troops. The third prince's overall strength was currently in the lead. But to truly become the crown prince, he had to push his own people into the position of the city guards. The city guards had to have the people in their hands. Because of the adjustment of the Green Dragon army, the third prince was somewhat surprised. Originally, he was almost done negotiating with the Hua family. However, who knew that the Hua family would be directly deployed? This made the third prince want to cry but have no tears. At this moment, he naturally didn't have time to deal with the Vermilion Bird army. Therefore, he could only set his sights on the city guards. One of the vice-commanders of the city guards was discussing this matter with the third prince. This vice-commander was called Yuan Mazhan. In the city guards, he was definitely at the level of a veteran. His achievements were also very good. However, he was helpless as his strength gradually faded. Therefore, Yuan Mazhan already felt like the setting sun. Seeing that everything that originally belonged to him was suddenly snatched away by Wang Ding, who had just rushed in, made Yuan Mazhan's heart filled with grief and indignation. It was a pity. However, this was a cruel world. If you couldn't do it, others would do it. Even if you could do it, others would do it better than you. Then others would do it first. This was the situation that Yuan Mazhan was facing now. At this moment, the third prince came looking for him. Previously, the third prince had contacted Yuan Mazhan. However, at that time, Yuan Mazhan saw the current situation and didn't understand it. Therefore, he might as well just wait and see. He wasn't in such a hurry to agree. At this moment, in front of the temptation of the third prince's conditions, Yuan Mazhan finally nodded his head. If I can become the commander of the city guards, I am willing to serve the third prince like a dog or horse. Yuan Mazhan said respectfully and sincerely. The third prince also nodded his head. Before seeing the benefits, he wouldn't directly agree. After all, this was a matter of life and death. Moreover, it was uncertain whether he could do it well. With the third prince's current power, it wouldn't be so easy to defeat Li Zongjiu. Therefore, in short, show me your strength first. After I become the commander, everything will be negotiable. Alright, it's just a Wang Ding. It won't be difficult to get rid of him. The third prince smiled slightly. In order to make Yuan Mazhan the next regiment commander, he didn't have to touch Li Zongjiu. He just had to kill Wang Ding. Wouldn't that be enough? Even if Li Zongjiu wanted to promote another person to the top in a short period of time, it would be impossible. After the two clinked their glasses, Yuan Mazhan took his leave. Chapter 1046. Sacred Flame Royal City, in a small tavern in a secluded area. There was an old man and a young man sitting there. The young man was sipping his tea. Usually, he would sit in this tavern for an entire day. He was listening to a lady in white playing the zither in the bamboo forest opposite him. There's not much time left. Young master, why aren't you taking action? The old man looked at the sky. Then, he looked at the script on the table. On the calendar, the dates had been crossed out one by one. Now, there was less than half a year left. He had to put an end to this matter. However, his young master was still here drinking and listening to music. This is the best part. Shoo! The young man waved his hand, indicating for the old man to keep quiet. The old man was helpless. He could only sit there obediently. However, it was obvious that the old man felt like he was sitting on pins and needles. Finally, when the song ended, the old man opened his sleepy eyes and looked at the young man with anticipation. Young master. It's getting late. Let's sleep. The young man yawned and stretched. Obviously, he was not going to do anything at this time. Young master, when the old man saw this, he revealed an expression of knowing that this was the case. Young master, how are you going to fight for the crown prince's position like this? I'm going to sleep. The young man lay down on the ground and started to sleep. The next day, the young man woke up and continued with what he was doing for the entire day. He simply wanted to waste his time here. The old man could not stand it anymore. However, after the young man woke up, he dressed himself up. This made the old man realize that his young master had been sitting in this tavern for an entire year. He even changed his name. No one knew who he was or what he was going to do. He was just sitting in this tavern, drinking and listening to music. Today, there was finally some action. Instantly, the old man felt as if he was in a dream. He couldn't really be dreaming, right? Old Lu, what are you waiting for? Prepare the horse. Old Lu was stunned for a moment. When he heard the young man's words, his face changed into surprise. He's here. Immediately, a white horse-drawn carriage left the tavern and headed toward a certain place in the city, squeaking all the way. Young master, which family should we negotiate with first? White Deer Mansion. Old Lu was driving the carriage. When he heard this name, he was also stunned. Although Old Lu looked old and weak, everything was done by Old Lu. They even came up with a plan. As long as they followed the plan and gradually disintegrated the forces built by the previous princes, they could easily become the most unexpected force among them. He believed that many people would not have thought of such a thunderous way of fighting, but no matter what. The first one shouldn't have come to deal with Li Zhongjiu. Now, everyone knew Li Zhongjiu's strength. Moreover, because of Li Zhongjiu's actions, the Emperor Xingyan was also supporting Li Zhongjiu. At this time, it was obvious that they were not going to fight head-on. Young master, what do you mean? Didn't we agree to take down the people of the elite business alliance first, then the four families? If we go directly to Li Zhongjiu, the situation will not be optimistic. Old Lu immediately tried to persuade him. Who said I'm going to fight them? I'm going to ask for advice. The young man said with a smile. He looked like he was about the same age as Li Zhongjiu. Old Lu did not understand why the young master did this. If he exposed his strength in advance, it would be very dangerous for him. It was obviously risky to provoke Li Zhongjiu at this time, but the young man seemed to have seen through it. Old Lu did not know what the young master of the Z family was planning, so he could only drive the carriage to the White Deer Mansion. Butler Zhao, the 14th prince is here. Lu Pei came forward and said. The 14th prince, Xiao Zhao's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. Emperor Xingyan was about to announce the candidate for the position of crown prince in half a year. At this juncture, it was time to take action. If someone wanted to make a final effort, it would be at this time. Right or wrong, success or failure, it would be at this moment. There were only 14 princes in the entire Xingyan dynasty. At least, that was all they had found so far. It was not so clear whether another one would suddenly appear later. Although the 14th prince was the youngest, he was also the most mysterious among all the princes. Li Zhongjiu had told them to find the whereabouts of the 14th prince. In Xiao Zhao's opinion, the 14th prince did not have the strength to compete with the other princes. However, Xiao Zhao did not dare to underestimate Li Zhongjiu's words. The other party only came as a guest and did not reveal his true identity. However, the people in the White Deer Mansion already knew. This was not surprising. When they found out that the 14th prince was still in the city, Xiao Zhao specially sent a group of people to observe the 14th prince. Quickly welcome him. No matter whether the visit was good or bad, they had to welcome the 14th prince. Although they had imprisoned the 9th prince before, it was Li Zhongjiu who did it. If they were in his place, they would not dare to do so. Go and tell the young master that I will personally welcome the 14th prince. Xiao Zhao said. Lu Pei nodded. Okay. Lu Pei jogged all the way to Li Zongjiu's courtyard. He saw Li Zongjiu sitting under a parasol tree and meditating. Although Lu Pei did not know what Li Zongjiu was doing, he did not dare to ask. What's wrong? Li Zongjiu opened his eyes and saw Lu Pei, who looked as if he was constipated. If he wanted to go to the toilet, he should go to the toilet. Lu Pei did not know what was going on. Young master, the 14th prince is here. Lu Pei saw Li Zongjiu's reaction and hurriedly said. Although the prince's visit was a secret, he was still a prince after all. He couldn't afford to neglect him. Let him wait. I'm meditating. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. At this moment, he was meditating on the spiritual hell. He was sitting under the parasol tree. Then, Lu Pei clearly saw the parasol tree behind Li Zongjiu begin to change. It was as if a year had been compressed into a minute. It was completely displayed on the wudong tree. Just looking at it was enough to shock everyone. Oh my God! Lu Pei's eyes widened when he saw this scene. As for Li Zongjiu's words, he could only convey them truthfully. There was nothing he could do about it. When he returned to the living room, he saw the 14th prince chatting with butler Zhao. For White Deer residence to be able to achieve what it has today, it can be said that housekeeper Zhao has contributed greatly. After a conversation, the 14th prince was full of praise for Xiao Zhao. From his tone, it was clear that he admired her from the bottom of his heart and was not flattering her against her will. Chapter 1047. 14th Prince, you flatter me. I'm just doing my best, said Xiao Zhao. The little assistant who followed behind Qi Yanran back then had now become a big shot in Royal City. Now, everyone knew the name of the head of White Deer residence, housekeeper Zhao. It was just that Li Zongjiu's fame was too strong now. Sometimes, he would slightly neglect other people. But after a little understanding, after learning a little more, they would know that Li Zongjiu was not the only young expert in the White Deer mansion. Where's the young master? When Xiao Zhao saw that Lu Pei had returned alone and had been gone for such a long time, he must have already told Li Zongjiu the news. Greetings, 14th Prince. The young master asked you to wait in the mansion for a while. He's still cultivating. Lu Pei said. Although Li Zongjiu's original words were not like this, it was roughly what he meant. According to Li Zongjiu's original words, he directly asked the 14th prince to wait. Humph, how presumptuous. Since he knows the identity of the prince, he actually asked the prince to wait for a subordinate. Old Lu was extremely angry after hearing this. This kid was too arrogant. It seemed that no one could deal with this kid normally. Old Lu, shut up. Don't talk nonsense. Old Lu didn't know how to be polite. Old Lu didn't expect the young master to be so angry, so he quickly apologized. Old Lu didn't expect the young master to be so angry. Of course, he was not convinced. When he saw Li Zongjiu, he would definitely let him know how powerful he was. Although Li Zongjiu was rumored to be very powerful everywhere, Old Lu did not believe it. He only believed in the young master in front of him. Compared to the young master, the others were all fake. The young master's strength was the real power that he had seen with his own eyes. He was the real genius. In the future of the Shengyan dynasty, only the young master would be able to sit on the throne. The others were not destined to be the son of heaven. It's our fault for coming here so abruptly. Since you've agreed, I'll just sit here and wait. You can all go ahead and do your work. There's no need to entertain me. The 14th prince was also very humble. Xiao Zhao had a lot of things to do, so he naturally couldn't chat with the 14th prince all the time. Therefore, he had Lu Pei and the others serve the 14th prince. He took his leave first. While waiting, Liu Pei ordered people to pour tea for the 14th prince. During this time, old Liu was also waiting by the side. During this process, old Liu also felt very impatient, but his family's young master hadn't moved yet and didn't say anything. Naturally, he couldn't say anything and just sat quietly at the table. Just the tea alone had been added to 6 pots in a row. The tea leaves were also changed 3 times. When night fell, Liu Pei's ears suddenly twitched. Li Zhongjiu's voice was transmitted into his ears. It was as if Li Zhongjiu's voice was directly transmitted into Liu Pei's ears. It made Liu Pei's eyes light up. The 14th prince on the opposite side also seemed to have sensed something and looked at Liu Pei curiously. Liu Pei had already come forward and said, "Prince, the young master invites you over." "What? He actually wants our young master to see him?" Hearing this, old Liu immediately couldn't sit still. This is clearly a rebellion, isn't it? He actually wants a prince to see Li Zhongjiu. You, Li Zhongjiu, are the great protector of the state, not the great protector of the heavens. How can you be more important than the emperor? Old Liu, you sit here and don't wander around. The 14th prince stood up and said. As he spoke, he had already walked out of the room. Please lead the way. Seeing that the young master was about to walk out, old Liu's heart was filled with anxiety. If something went wrong, wouldn't it be troublesome? Therefore, at this moment, his heart was filled with anxiety. He wanted to follow the 14th prince, but he was afraid that his young master would be angry. If that happened, the consequences would be severe. However, his young master's temper was also very good. If he went, would he be bullied by that brat Li Zhongjiu? Therefore, old Liu's heart was filled with worry. Young master, you have to be careful. Old Liu had no choice but to return to his seat after shouting at the 14th prince's back. When the 14th prince first saw Li Zhongjiu under the tree, he felt a sense of danger. Immediately, he felt a strong sense of danger. This Li Zhongjiu was actually more powerful than he had imagined. It seemed like the news of him killing a sovereign expert was not a rumor, but true. Chang Pen greets imperial tutor Li. Chang Pen was the 14th prince's name. The position of the crown prince is yours. Why are you looking for me? Li Zhongjiu looked at the 14th prince in front of him with interest. If he had not been reborn, Li Zhongjiu might not have had any impression of the 14th prince. He might not have even taken the 14th prince, who had done nothing, and had no achievements, seriously. After all, the 14th prince was born with a humble background. To outsiders, he was very lucky to be able to live until now. If he still wanted to forcefully get involved in such a situation, he would be looking for trouble. Even if they were to become cannon fodder in this battle, no one would be surprised. However, Li Zhongjiu knew that the 14th prince would be the future winner. There was no doubt about it. A glint of surprise flashed across the 14th prince's eyes. Imperial tutor Li, why do you say so? I didn't know at first, but you have already obtained the inheritance of the Earth Palace and the successor of the Saturn Palace. What's so strange about this? Li Zhongjiu glanced at the 14th prince. Of course, it was not considered a doubt. After all, it was in his previous life. Li Zhongjiu was not interested in the 14th prince's secret. He only knew that this guy became the crown prince later on. It was a pity that he had been the crown prince for a long time. Now that he saw the 14th prince, Li Zhongjiu also saw the hidden power in him. Saturn Palace. It was one of the 5 strongest sects in the ancient times. 5 Elements Palace. The 5 Elements Palace was originally one, but later on, it was estimated that there were differences between the inheritances and they could not come together. Therefore, everyone was divided into 5 sects, each with their own camp. The strength of any one of the 5 Elements Palace was stronger than the strength of any current dynasty. To be able to obtain such a strength inheritance. It was indeed a very difficult thing. Therefore, Li Zhongjiu was very surprised. The Five Elements Palace was basically crippled when Li Zongjiu had the strength in his previous life. Therefore, Li Zongjiu did not know where the Five Elements Palace was. In addition, Li Zongjiu was constantly being forced to improve his strength rapidly. Therefore, he did not greedily look for the Five Elements Palace. Later on, he found out that most of the star palaces were abandoned. He did not expect that one of them had been taken by the young 14th prince. When he heard Li Zongjiu's words, even the 14th prince's face changed instantly. He did not expect Li Zongjiu to see through his trump card at a glance. Chapter 1048. After knowing that he had the Saturn Palace, Lin Feng did not intend to attack him. This made him nervous. The 14th prince was not sure if he was a match for Li Zongjiu. Sure enough, this trip was too risky. He needed to be more stable. Even if Li Zongjiu killed him and took away his inheritance, no one would come looking for him. After all, the 14th prince had chosen to hide his tracks previously. Therefore, very few people knew where he was. With Li Zongjiu's means, he was completely capable of erasing him completely without anyone noticing and covering any traces. The 14th prince instantly tensed up. Don't worry. I have no interest in your inheritance. If you have nothing else, you can leave. Li Zongjiu looked at the 14th prince's vigilant and regretful expression. Li Zongjiu couldn't help but smile. Did this brat really treat his things as treasures? It was really funny. The 14th prince smiled awkwardly. Although his back was already soaked in cold sweat, the 14th prince believed in his own strength. However, he did not know why he still believed in Lin Feng. As long as Li Zongjiu made a move, he could take his life in an instant. Therefore, he was nervous. To be honest, I want to cooperate with Imperial Tutor Li. The 14th prince took a few deep breaths in his heart. Turning around and leaving now was the smartest thing to do. As long as he left, everything would have nothing to do with the 14th prince, and he would be able to settle his own matters. He reckoned that he would not have any interaction with Li Zongjiu. However, the 14th prince had a premonition that this was a very good opportunity. He could not let it go. If he missed it, he would not have the chance to regret it. Li Zongjiu glanced at the 14th prince and found that the latter's eyes were filled with ambition. This made Li Zongjiu very curious about what this kid wanted to do. At the same time, Li Zongjiu also had a feeling in his heart. The greatest contribution of his appearance was to change history. Perhaps because of Li Zongjiu's rebirth, the development of the previous life would not be so smooth. Although it was said that everything had its own destiny, Li Zongjiu's previous life would not be so smooth. But in reality, everything had its own variables. No one could have imagined the changes that would occur during this period of time. I want to ask Imperial Tutor Li to help me ascend the throne. The 14th prince stared into Li Zongjiu's eyes and said seriously. Ascend the throne. The 14th prince was talking about the throne, not the position of crown prince. Obviously, the 14th prince knew that ascending to the position of crown prince wasn't difficult, but ascending to the throne would take a lot of time. Even in this process, it was very likely that some unpredictable accidents would occur. Only ascending the throne was the 14th prince's goal. This guy really dared to dream. Li Zongjiu looked at the 14th prince in front of him and couldn't help but laugh. In the end, he laughed out loud. This made the 14th prince a little absent-minded. What was Li Zongjiu trying to do? Why was he laughing for no reason? In fact, Li Zongjiu didn't want to have anything to do with the royal family. After all, in this life, Li Zongjiu only wanted stability and peace for his family. However, the 14th prince's appearance changed Li Zongjiu's mind. Li Zongjiu had helped many people change their fates before, such as San Tong, Tian Fei, and Su Mo. These people's fates were all in Li Zongjiu's hands. However, their changes didn't affect Li Zongjiu much. Therefore, it didn't seem strange at all. Li Zongjiu could also accept what he had done. However, if he changed the fate of one person, it would be enough to change the fate of the Li family. If he helped the 14th prince to the throne, it would definitely affect the Li family. In the process, Li Zongjiu would also have the opportunity to make the Li family bigger. The spirit of adventure was still necessary. If one didn't have the spirit of aggression and aggressiveness, one would regress. This was because other invaders were constantly improving. Soon, one would be overtaken by them. If one wanted to live, one had to maintain the wildness and constantly become stronger. In an instant, Li Zongjiu made up his mind. Help. This was life. Change. Since the heavens had changed Li Zongjiu's fate, then evil venerate Li Zongjiu would have to act recklessly for once and completely rewrite the fate of the world. All the luck and fortune would be concentrated on the Li family. He had to make the Li family a transcendental family. If I help you to the throne, what can you do for me? Li Zongjiu looked at the 14th prince and said. Value was a mutual thing. If you were valuable to me, I would pay for you. First, from now on, the Li family will be an aristocratic family of the Shengyan dynasty. As long as the Shengyan dynasty exists, the Li family will also exist. Second, together with the imperial tutor, we will mobilize the strength of the whole country to fight against the Black Canal Basilica. Said the 14th prince. Obviously, the 14th prince had done a lot of homework before coming here. The 2 points he mentioned at this moment were almost what Li Zongjiu wanted to hear from Li Zongjiu. Of course, the 14th prince didn't need to worry about the second point. It was just the Black Canal Basilica. Li Zongjiu naturally had his ways to deal with it. If you want me to help you, there is another condition. You have to be my disciple. Make a master and disciple oath. Swear on your Saturn palace. If you break the oath, I don't need to do anything. Your Saturn palace will self-destruct. Li Zongjiu said calmly. At the same time, he looked at the 14th prince. This was Li Zongjiu's request. Although it was too easy for the 14th prince to be his disciple, it was still a dream for him. This was something that even the 14th prince could only dream of. In this way, Li Zongjiu was directly tied to the White Deer residence. Apart from his age, Li Zongjiu was also the imperial protector. It would not lower the 14th prince's status at all. On the contrary, it would be a great help to the 14th prince unknowingly. The 14th prince, who didn't have much talent in the imperial court, would have a strong backing from now on. With Li Zongjiu's support, who would he need to be afraid of? If Li Zongjiu wanted to help a prince ascend the throne, who would dare to stop him? In the entire Shengyan dynasty, who would dare to stop him? I, Long Pingan, swear on my Saturn palace that I will be the disciple of Master Li Zongjiu today. If I disobey my master's teachings and violate the sex rules, my Saturn palace will be shattered and my spirit will be destroyed. Obviously, the 14th prince's will was extremely firm. Moreover, the 14th prince also knew that if he did anything with ulterior motives, Li Zongjiu would definitely not let him go. Based on Li Zongjiu's previous glorious achievements, the 14th prince's fate would not be any better than being destroyed. Chapter 1049. Changing the 14th prince's fate and helping him ascend to the throne was naturally beneficial to the Li family. The 14th prince seemed to know that even if he became the crown prince, it would still take a long time for him to ascend to the throne. In the current world, the only person who could help him ascend to the throne was the imperial protector in front of him. Li Zongjiu. One of the 5-element star palaces. When the 14th prince obtained the Saturn star palace, it had already given him a hint, which was similar to a prophecy. The prophecy foretold Li Zongjiu. Only with the help of this person would he have the opportunity to control the Shengyan dynasty. After that, the 14th prince left happily. The 14th prince naturally knew what he had to do next. First, he had to become the crown prince. Otherwise, he could forget about ascending to the throne. Young lord. How was it? What did you say? Teacher has agreed to help me. This matter is settled. The turmoil in the sacred flame royal city will be huge. The 14th prince said excitedly. Teacher? What teacher? Old Lu was shocked and surprised by the 14th prince's words. He did not even understand what the 14th prince meant. I have already become imperial tutor's disciple. The 14th prince said excitedly. In his heart, he could not believe that this matter had progressed so smoothly. Without Li Zongjiu's help, the 14th prince had almost no hope of becoming the emperor of the Shengyan dynasty. Even after becoming the crown prince, the chances were slim. However, the rule was that after all the princes reached adulthood, they had to choose a prince to be the crown prince and establish him as the crown prince. As for how long the current emperor wanted to achieve, it depended on his mood. If he was in a good mood, he could rule the world. Moreover, with his own cultivation, once he entered the sovereign realm, it would be difficult for him to die even if he wanted to. With the current resources, it was not difficult for the Emperor Shengyan to break through to the sovereign realm. What does this mean? Even though old Lu was experienced and knowledgeable, when he heard this news, he still couldn't take it. Li Zongjiu had become the imperial tutor at such a young age, which meant that he had the strength to do so. However, it was still uncertain if he was qualified enough to become the 14th prince's teacher. Young master, you mustn't be bewitched. You mustn't be the slightest bit careless when it comes to apprenticeship. I have my own plans. Let's go to the imperial palace and get something. It didn't take long for the 14th prince to obtain a command medallion from Emperor Shengyan. Although he only had one legion in his hands, he had already declared that he would unify the fringe. This chaotic land was rich in resources and filled with bandits. God knows how many experts came to such places to fish for gold. But in this era, the cities were governed by their own laws. If you have a big fist, people will be afraid of you. And most importantly, the people of the fringe never paid taxes. Therefore, this was a huge headache for the Shengyan dynasty. If the Shengyan dynasty's army were to attack the fringe, all the city lords and overlords of the fringe would put aside their grievances and unite to drive the Shengyan dynasty out. To think that the 14th prince, who was the youngest, actually dared to make such a bold statement. Sacred Flame Heavenly Emperor didn't say that Yi Shiwen was young and frivolous. If Yi Shiwen wanted to go, Sacred Flame Heavenly Emperor would let him go. However, if Yi Shiwen went outside and made a great contribution, the major forces in the city would have fewer opportunities to rope him in. In the end, without the support of a consortium behind him, how could he compete with the other princes? Obviously, in the eyes of others, the 14th prince wanted to use this opportunity to take refuge outside. Conquering the fringe in 3 months was nothing but a pipe dream. It was better to say that he was going for a vacation. Even if he didn't manage to conquer the fringe, Emperor Shengyan wouldn't chop his head off. Taking 10,000 steps back. Even if he really succeeded and made great contributions, by the time he returned, the situation in the city would have stabilized and the position of crown prince would have been settled. He wouldn't have the opportunity to control the relationships between the major families. Therefore, the 14th prince was indeed a trash among trash. He was simply incapable in both civil and military matters. Under such circumstances, trying to attract attention would only end up shooting himself in the foot. The reason why the 14th prince decided to do so was because of Li Zongjiu's advice. The fringe had always been a thorn in his side and a thorn in his heart. If he could deal with the fringe properly, he would be able to do so. If he could deal with this matter properly, it would definitely become a highlight. Moreover, the regiment that the 14th prince took with him. It was the famous White Tiger Army. Summon Wang Ding. Li Zongjiu ordered. Soon, someone from the White Deer Mansion went to inform Wang Ding. When Wang Ding heard that Li Zongjiu had summoned him, he immediately put down all his official duties and rushed to Li Zongjiu. Young master, you are looking for me. What position do you hold now? Li Zongjiu looked at Wang Ding and asked. Young master, I am the vice commander of the City Guard Legion. Wang Ding replied respectfully. Such a City Guard Legion was different from the one that the 14th prince had taken away. The 14th prince took with him only 5,000 soldiers. However, the City Guard Legion had a total of 200,000 soldiers. Vice Commander, what are the requirements for becoming a commander? Li Zongjiu nodded and asked. Wang Ding's progress had exceeded Li Zongjiu's expectations. He didn't expect Wang Ding to become a vice commander so quickly. Of course, Wang Ding's breakthrough in strength and Taifai's care and support were closely related. In less than half a year, the current commander will step down. At that time, candidates will be selected from among the 4 vice commanders. One of the vice commanders has already been killed, the one from last time. He came in late. His strength is average and he's only here to temporarily take over the position. There's another one who came in through connections. He has no achievements and has a lot of violations of discipline. Therefore, he's the only one who can compete with me. There's only one person left. This person is called Yuan Mazhan. According to our latest information, it seems that this Yuan Mazhan has been roped in by the 3rd prince. The competition in half a year will depend on what Yuan Mazhan does. Li Zongjiu nodded after listening. He looked at Wang Ding. In other words, if you get rid of Yuan Mazhan, you will be the future commander, right? Li Zongjiu said. Hearing his young master's words, how could Wang Ding not understand what Li Zongjiu meant? He wanted to help him. Yes, young master. As long as Yuan Mazhan gives up, the position of the next commander will be mine. Wang Ding said excitedly. Let's go and find this Yuan Mazhan. Chapter 1050. While they were talking, a carriage had already been prepared at the door. This carriage had no other tasks except to wait for Li Zongjiu to set off. If Li Zongjiu needed anything, this carriage would be waiting for him at all times. Wang Ding did not expect Li Zongjiu to be so decisive. He would go straight to Yuan Mazhan's residence. What should he say to Yuan Mazhan after meeting him? Wang Ding couldn't help but have a headache. However, this matter obviously didn't need Wang Ding to worry about. Anyway, he just needed to follow Li Zongjiu. Young master would have his ways. At this moment, in Yuan Mazhan's residence, the 3rd prince was there too. He brought a group of mysterious men of sacrifice with him. He was openly discussing with Yuan Mazhan how to kill Wang Ding. That Wang Ding has guards by his side day and night. I'm afraid it won't be so easy to take his life silently. Yuan Mazhan said with a frown. The 20 men of sacrifice in the courtyard were powerful. However, Yuan Mazhan would not be able to protect himself if they found out that it was him. Moreover, this assassination was the last resort. It would be easy to give himself away. Moreover, if he was careless and allowed the other party to escape, there would be endless trouble in the future. Yuan Mazhan thought that the 3rd prince had some brilliant plan. He did not expect it to be such a move. Obviously, Yuan Mazhan was disappointed. Moreover, if the 3rd prince wanted to use Yuan Mazhan to get rid of Wang Ding, why didn't he do it himself? It was obvious that the 3rd prince wanted to hide behind the scenes and let him be the scapegoat. If he succeeded, it would naturally be good, but if he failed, the consequences could be imagined. But when that time came, the 3rd prince himself would not be implicated. What's wrong? Old Yuan, could it be that you don't trust me? If you don't use this group of death warriors, what other methods do you have to trip up Wang Ding? Furthermore, at this time, if you don't kill Wang Ding, he will definitely turn around and kill you. The 3rd prince said unhurriedly. It seemed as though Yuan Mazhan had no other way out. This was the only path he could choose. In 7 days, you will have a trial in the wild forest. At that time, Wang Ding will definitely attend. As long as we intercept this guy, won't this matter be settled? The third prince sneered. Kill Wang Ding. I can help you settle everything after that. No matter how valuable a person is, as long as he is dead, he is worthless. Yuan Mashan was still a little hesitant. But, using this method, that person in White Deer Mansion, Yuan Mashan was clearly afraid of Li Zongjiu. Who in the city wasn't afraid of Li Zongjiu? In fact, they believed that as long as Li Zongjiu walked out and said something, they would be able to kill Li Zongjiu. Sacred Flame Royal City would be turned upside down if Lin Fan said anything. Therefore, these people were watching the White Deer Mansion anxiously. They were afraid that Li Zongjiu would target them if he was in a bad mood. If that happened, trouble would follow. No one had ever been able to threaten them to such an extent. It was simply terrifying. You are talking about Li Zongjiu? Who does he think he is? If not for father's consideration of the person behind Li Zongjiu, how could he have his current position? He is just a puppet that was pushed out. He can't cause any trouble in Sacred Flame Royal City. The third prince said solemnly. His words were also criticizing Li Zongjiu. It even made people believe that Li Zongjiu was a piece of trash who didn't know anything. He only knew how to rely on the power behind him to intimidate others. Just as the third prince finished speaking, a voice rang out. The servants of the Yuan residence hurriedly came to report. They said that Lord Imperial Tutor of the White Deer Mansion was already at the entrance. What? You are only saying this when he is already at the entrance? What the hell were you doing earlier? Yuan Mashan was stunned when he heard this. Li Zongjiu was actually here. Could it be that Li Zongjiu had heard the third prince badmouthing him here, so he directly came here? But even if that was the case, Li Zongjiu's speed was too fast. He walked in so directly. Clearly, it wasn't because of this matter. What? Li Zongjiu is here. The third prince and the others were stunned because the 20 men of sacrifice were still standing in the courtyard. I was wondering why your courtyard was filled with killing intent. These people are all men of sacrifice, right? You actually raised so many men of sacrifice. It seems like this Yuan Mashan has saved up quite a lot of money. Li Zongjiu and Wang Ding slowly walked over from the 2 rows of masked men of sacrifice in black clothes. The third prince and Yuan Mashan's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. It should be known that these men of sacrifice were prepared for Wang Ding. They didn't expect Wang Ding and Li Zongjiu to come here and meet these men of sacrifice directly. Could it be that Wang Ding had gotten wind of some news and had come to cause trouble? Although he felt uneasy, Yuan Mashan still greeted them with a smile. He could refuse to welcome Wang Ding, but he couldn't refuse to welcome Li Zongjiu. After all, Li Zongjiu's current status was not ordinary. He wasn't someone who could be refused just because he wanted to. With Li Zongjiu's status, Yuan Mashan naturally had to receive him grandly when he came to Yuan Mashan's house. I didn't know Imperial Tutor Li would be coming. Yuan Mashan didn't go out to greet you, please forgive me. Yuan Mashan said respectfully and even bowed to Li Zongjiu. Come in. After Li Zongjiu entered, he directly sat on the high seat. Sitting beside Li Zongjiu was the third prince. At this moment, the third prince didn't know how to face Li Zongjiu. If Li Zongjiu knew about their conversation just now, it would be hard to imagine what would happen. It was hard to predict what would happen. It made people feel uneasy. Therefore, the third prince simply sat there and didn't dare to say a word. Moreover, Li Zongjiu acted as if he didn't see him at all. He directly ignored him. Yuan Mashan glanced at the third prince. Just a moment ago, he said that the other party was a piece of trash and a puppet. Now that the other party was sitting in front of him, he didn't even dare to breathe loudly. It was a little embarrassing. Wang Ding stood behind Li Zongjiu. Wang Ding had never seen the third prince before. Moreover, the third prince was traveling in disguise. He didn't even bring anyone with him. He only brought these men of sacrifice in front of him. After all, it wasn't something to be proud of. The fewer people who knew about it, the better. Yes, subordinate Yuan Mazhan greets Lord Imperial Tutor. Yuan Mazhan hurriedly bowed and said. Get up. You don't need to choose this year's City Guard Legion commander. You can choose again next year. You are Yuan Mazhan. Chapter 1051. The next selection would be held again. No one knew when the next selection would be held. Moreover, this kind of competition was always fair and just. How could they tolerate the influence of such evil forces? When Yuan Mazhan heard this, he was extremely shocked. He also looked at the third prince, who was sitting at the side, in shock. However, the third prince acted as if he didn't hear this. Yuan Mazhan immediately reprimanded the third prince in his heart. The latter's lack of action made Yuan Mazhan very unhappy. Previously, he even said that he would guarantee the third prince's position. Now, the third prince is already in front of you. Your only competitor and his supporters are in front of you. However, the third prince didn't even dare to fart. He even tried his best to pretend that he had just arrived. This made Yuan Mazhan despise him in his heart. Sigh, his supporters aren't strong enough. The competition hasn't even started and he's already scared. I'm here to give you a chance to live. If you withdraw early, you can live. Li Zhongjie took a sip of the tea on the table. Then, he saw the third prince sitting at the side. Who are you? It was as if he had just seen the third prince. Your son. He's so ugly. Li Zhongjie thought that the third prince was Yuan Mazhan's son and couldn't help but say. It wasn't that Li Zhongjie didn't know how to be polite. It was because the third prince's face was really ugly. Not only that, the third prince's face was covered with some powder. For a man to have such things on his face, he really had to give it to him. This is a beauty pill. After taking it, it can improve the structure of your face. At least it can remove freckles. In the future, go out less. If you meet someone with a bad mood or bad temper, they might kill you. For Yuan Mazhan's face, Li Zhongjie took out a pill that he refined with the leftover materials. It only had a little effect on the appearance. Because he couldn't bear to look at it, he gave the pill to the third prince. When the third prince saw the pill placed in front of him, he felt as if someone had ruthlessly slapped him in the face. His appearance was not naturally like this. It was because he had accidentally gone mad during his later cultivation. That was why he looked like this. His fists, which were hidden under his sleeves, were clenched tightly. His fingers were constantly emitting cracking sounds. Even his body had begun to tremble slightly. He was forcefully suppressing his emotions. Otherwise, he would have rushed up and killed that person. After that, Li Zhongjie and Wang Ding left Yuan Mazhan's residence. Yuan Mazhan even personally sent them to the door. After Li Zhongjie left, the third prince finally could not hold it in any longer and slammed his palm on the table. Boom! He smashed the table under his palm into pieces. The third prince stood up angrily and kicked the pillar next to him. It was as if he had directly shattered the pillar with one kick. What's so great about that? Fight me one-on-one if you have the guts. How dare you insult this prince? This prince will kill you. The third prince roared like a crazed beast. He happened to see Yuan Mazhan, who was walking back with a dejected look on his face. Seeing the third prince like this, he was slightly shocked. If the third prince were to do something, it would be hard to say. However, at this moment, Yuan Mazhan could only carefully serve the third prince. After all, the third prince seemed to be the one who had been provoked more. What? Are you also mocking this prince? The third prince turned around and looked at Yuan Mazhan. He increasingly felt that it was Yuan Mazhan who had humiliated him. Therefore, the third prince was extremely angry. He felt incomparably ashamed. At the same time, a trace of viciousness flashed in the third prince's eyes. Fine. Since he wants to settle the matter with a single sentence, then I will give him something to add. Seeing the third prince's eyes change, a bad premonition arose in Yuan Mashan's heart. Third prince, what do you mean by this? Yuan Mashan wanted to leave this place first. Who knew what the third prince was going to do? However, it was already too late. This prince has disguised himself. No one saw me coming here. Since you can't kill Wang Ding, then there is no other way. Everyone saw Li Zongjiu bring Wang Ding to your house. Deputy Commander Yuan, I can only wrong you and borrow your head. Immediately, the third prince's eyes turned cold. The men of sacrifice in the courtyard rushed in and surrounded Yuan Mashan. When the third prince came, he had already cleared the surrounding guards. No one was allowed to come close. Therefore, this gave the third prince a natural guarantee. Third prince, how can you go back on your words? Even if you kill me, you won't be able to touch Imperial Tutor Li. This old subject is willing to retire and return to the fields. I hope that the third prince will spare my life. Yuan Mashan directly knelt down in front of the third prince. He kept kowtowing. However, the third prince's eyes didn't have the slightest bit of pity. In his opinion, these people should be used by him. Since they were no longer useful, why should he keep them alive? Immediately, he waved his hand casually. He directly signaled the 20 elite men of sacrifice to attack. Damn it! Yuan Mashan also forcibly released his aura. He wanted to kill his way out of the encirclement of the 20 men of sacrifice. However, the moment he rushed out, Yuan Mashan's body was hit many times. When he rushed into the courtyard, he was already seriously injured. If he hadn't worn this life-saving inner armor for so many years, most of his flesh and bones would have been cut off. Kill! 20 figures flew towards Yuan Mashan like bats. Just as these people were about to chop Yuan Mashan into pieces, a voice suddenly rang out. Suddenly, a strong wave of energy attacked. In the next moment, the bodies of the 20 men of sacrifice fell from the sky like kites with their strings cut. Bang! 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 Their bodies landed on the ground. Another figure angrily pulled out his sword and rushed into the midst of the men of sacrifice. He waved the long sword in his hand fiercely, and a sharp sword aura instantly swept across the men of sacrifice. Bang, bang, bang. One by one, heads fell to the ground and rolled on the ground. Blood splattered everywhere. There were still many people who hadn't been hit. Seeing this, they quickly tried to get up, but they couldn't outrun Wang Ding's sword. Wang Ding. What made Yuan Mashan extremely shocked was that the person who saved him was actually Wang Ding. Young master, I told you that there was something wrong with this kid. Old Yuan, you are an experienced man. How can you still have this kind of problem? Wang Ding casually looked back at Yuan Mashan, who was lying on the ground. When he first saw the third prince, he felt that something was wrong. As expected, this kid wanted to kill Yuan Mashan and frame Li Zongjiu and the others. That was why he had turned back and saved Yuan Mashan. You little thing, not only are you ugly, but your heart is also very vicious. Li Zongjiu also appeared at the door. The 20 men of sacrifice just now were directly knocked down by Li Zongjiu with a casual wave of his hand. A vicious heart. The third prince glanced at the 20 men of sacrifice lying on the ground. The people he had brought were all dead. Who was the more vicious one? It was unbelievable that such words came out of Li Zongjiu's mouth. Young master, how should we deal with this person? Take him down. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Killing many people didn't mean that he was vicious. But this kid, he actually wanted to frame Li Zongjiu. That was completely vicious. There was no need to even think about it. Just capture him and cripple him. How dare you touch me? The third prince stood where he was, looking majestic. At this moment it was as if he wanted to release his kingly aura. However, the third prince's cultivation base wasn't very high. Furthermore, he had used some method to forcefully raise his strength to the level of a grade 1 Yuan monarch. Wang Ding was already a grade 3 Yuan monarch. When Wang Ding heard that this ugly bastard was actually so arrogant, he immediately walked over to him and slapped him. Slap! This slap directly knocked 5 of the third prince's teeth out of his mouth. Pfft! He spat out a mouthful of blood. Don't kill him, Yuan Mashan, who was standing at the side, shouted hurriedly. However, Wang Ding seemed to want to show off in front of Li Zongjiu. After he executed a set of combination fist techniques, he also executed a set of combination blade techniques. Oh my, the defensive inner armor on your body is not bad. Wang Ding's blade couldn't penetrate the third prince's skin. He seemed to feel a sense of provocation and humiliation, so he immediately exerted all his strength. He gathered all his strength and slashed at the third prince's neck. Because it was slashed diagonally, the blade was stuck in the third prince's body. You are courting death. Wang Ding kicked the third prince's body and pulled out the blade. Chi! Instantly, blood splattered everywhere. In the end, the third prince fell to the ground. His eyes rolled back, and he died a horrible death there. Yuan Mashan didn't even know how to explain the scene before him. They could only watch helplessly as the third prince was killed just like that. Old Yuan, you are a smart person. Today, we have helped you solve your problem. Wang Ding wiped the blood off the blade in his hand. When he saw the look in Wang Ding's eyes, Yuan Mashan suddenly had a strong feeling. Li Zongjiu and the rest knew that the person before them was the third prince. However, he had deliberately killed him. This was so crazy. So arrogant. What exactly were Li Zongjiu and the rest trying to do? Yuan Mashan couldn't help but be shocked. Chapter 1052. He casually tossed a pill to Yuan Mashan. Thank you, Imperial Tutor. With Yuan Mashan's current condition, he could not hold on for long. He did not hesitate. Since he was already in this state, there was nothing to worry about. After swallowing the pill, he immediately felt a warm current begin to flow through his internal organs. At the same time, the wounds on his body also felt a warm feeling. He recovered in an instant. Phew! Yuan Mashan immediately opened his eyes wide. He, who was on the verge of death, was now about to recover. His aura also became smoother. This pill. This pill. It was not that Yuan Mashan had not taken any healing panacea before. However, compared to Li Zongjiu's pill, those panacea were simply complete garbage. This was the quality of a pill. The feeling and change that this pill brought to his body was really indescribable. He did not expect to experience such a miraculous pill in his lifetime. He was so touched that he almost cried. Then, Li Zongjiu flicked his finger and burned all the corpses in the courtyard. Now, Li Zongjiu's flame was a towering flame. Its power was endless, and it was a complete flame. After smelting, the power that it displayed would be even more terrifying. 21 corpses were burned to a crisp. Not even ashes were left behind. They were directly blown away by the wind. After getting up, Yuan Mashan saw that Li Zongjiu and Wang Ding had made a move. The two of them were so decisive and ruthless that they didn't even leave behind a single trace. No wonder Li Zongjiu was so famous that no one dared to provoke Li Zongjiu. With such strength, who would dare to mess around? And with such a temper. Even if you died, no one would know. The matter is settled. Can we go in and talk? Li Zongjiu stood with his hands behind his back. Wang Ding also came to Yuan Mashan's side. Please. Yuan Mashan seemed to have realized something and immediately welcomed the two of them into the hall. Only the three of them knew that the third prince had died here. If Yuan Mashan could not keep the secret, then there was no need for him to live. After Wang Ding ascends to the throne, the city guard corps also needs capable people to assist. I wonder if General Yuan has any candidates that you can provide. Li Zongjiu said. When Yuan Mashan heard this, he knew what Li Zongjiu meant. He wanted him to assist Wang Ding in taking down the entire city guard legion. Originally, both sides were very strong competitors, but with such a situation, the tables were turned. Even Yuan Mashan had no choice but to submit to Wang Ding. Yuan Mashan is willing to serve the imperial tutor. Yuan Mashan immediately knelt down. Li Zongjiu raised his hand and lifted Yuan Mashan's body into the air. The term of the captain is 4 years. After 4 years, Wang Ding will be transferred to the imperial guards. At that time, you will be in charge of the city guards. My White Deer Mansion will not treat you unfairly. Li Zongjiu said. Wang Ding would be transferred to the imperial guards. That would be awesome. However, Li Zongjiu looked so awesome, so it did not seem impossible. Perhaps Wang Ding would really be transferred. For years later, he might really have the chance to become the captain of the city guard corps. Just thinking about it made him feel like he could see an extremely bright future. Thank you, Imperial Tutor, for your promotion. General Wang, please take care of me in the future. What happened before, let's put the past behind us. From now on, we will be a family. Wang Ding patted Yuan Mashan's shoulder. Rather than killing Yuan Mashan, it would be better to keep him for his own use. Young master's move was truly brilliant. For Yuan Mashan, his life was already picked up. If not for Li Zongjiu's help, his old bones would have completely died here today. Now, not only could he protect his life by following Li Zongjiu, but he could also become the captain of the corps in 4 years. Although it was a little late, it was still a very good choice for Yuan Mashan. Otherwise, Yuan Mashan would have to retire now. Not only would he have wasted so much time, but he would also not have gained anything in the end. Therefore, Yuan Mashan had already gotten over it. His only thought was to work under Li Zongjiu. More accurately, he would work under Wang Ding. He did not have the qualifications to directly work with Li Zongjiu. The third prince had mysteriously disappeared from the city. It was estimated that there would not be much movement for a while, but as time passed, someone would definitely track him down. Wang Ding did not know where Li Zongjiu got the courage to be so unscrupulous. It was really unbelievable that he would kill a prince of a dynasty in the imperial city. However, Li Zongjiu was the only one who could do such an unbelievable thing. This matter was unbelievable to others, but to Li Zongjiu, it was just a normal operation. Young master, you are really fierce. You actually dared to kill the third prince directly. However, you have to be careful. If word of this gets out and people find out, we will be in big trouble. Wang Ding whispered in front of Li Zongjiu in the carriage. Huh? What third prince? However, Li Zongjiu's face was full of astonishment, as if he did not know what Wang Ding was talking about. Looking at Li Zongjiu's appearance, Wang Ding was about to explode. What? Li Zongjiu did not seem to know that the person he had just killed was the third prince of the dynasty. Just now. You didn't know. Then why did you let me kill him? How would I know that he's the third prince? I don't even know him. But if I kill him, then so be it. That little thing always makes a mess of things. It's good to kill him. You can make arrangements for the rest. Li Zongjiu said. Wang Ding obeyed and got off the carriage by the roadside. He did not directly follow back to the White Deer Mansion. When Li Zongjiu returned to the White Deer Mansion, he received news from the Haiku dynasty's Marquis Wanyong's residence. It said that in half a month, the Black Canal Basilica would make a move and they had to be careful. Among them, there was also a mention of an ancient ruin. Half a month later, an ancient relic. Li Zhongjiu pinched his fingers and began to calculate the time in his heart. I have only been reborn for a little more than a year, and no ancient relic has appeared. The closest one will be in 50 years. Immediately, Li Zhongjiu had a bad premonition in his heart. Fuck, could it be that it has been brought forward? Li Zhongjiu could imagine that the ancient relic had appeared because of him. Ancient, Demon Suppression Palace. Li Zhongjiu's eyes were solemn. This was because there were many treasures in the Demon Suppression Palace that could suppress the demon race. It was difficult for the later generations to refine them. Therefore, many experts did not care about the consequences and directly took away the treasures in the Demon Suppression Palace. As a result, many of the suppressed devil clans gradually emerged and were resurrected. Such a disaster was a catastrophe for the entire Xingwu continent. In my previous life, when the calamity of the demon race broke out, the treasures in the Demon Suppression Palace were all taken away. At that time, I was only in the Yuan King realm. Now that I have become an Yuan Emperor, I don't have to worry too much. However, Wuxia city is in a dangerous place. It must be protected well. Since the people of the Li family had been in Wuxia city for generations, Wuxia city, as the ancestral land of the Li family, could not be damaged. It must be protected well. Half a month, there is still time. Li Zhongjiu found Xiao Zhao. Last time, where did you say the mountain seagull appeared? Tianji mountain range, in the middle of the Tianyan dynasty and the Shengyan dynasty. The so-called Tianji mountain range meant that no one had jurisdiction over this place. There was no problem in doing whatever one wanted here. However, such places were often extremely dangerous places. Apart from some special groups of people who would go there, it was usually a place where no one would casually come to such a place. Therefore, there was a high possibility that there was a powerful sovereign origin beast in this place. Young master, are you really going? Xiao Zhao could not help but ask when he saw Li Zhongjiu keeping the map. This trip was not a joke. Not to mention the situation of encountering the supreme origin beast, just the danger in the Sky Ridge mountain range was enough to make any primitive emperor retreat. If it was not necessary, they would definitely not set foot in such a place. Because the real masters of such an undeveloped area were not humans, but origin beasts. Of course. Li Zhongjiu said faintly. Ask Li Yun to prepare the warship and send me there directly. Then, Li Zhongjiu gave some instructions. Of course, the most important thing was to ensure the safety of the White Deer Mansion during his absence. The Eagle warship had started to be mass-produced. However, the scale of the workshop was not too big, and there were many problems that needed to be fixed in the initial mass production. Therefore, an Eagle warship could be completed within a month. After that, they could shorten the time to half a month and create 5 battleships. Currently, the orders for the battleships were already lined up for who knows how long. Just the deposit alone was enough to make the name of White Deer residents explosively rich. An Eagle warship was priced at 5.6 billion purple yuan. The highest configuration and all the artillery equipment would be installed, but the energy source stones would not be provided by the owner. In addition, the owner would be given a year of free maintenance. If there were any problems with the warship within a year, the Unholy Craftsman Workshop would fix it for free. However, if the warship was not repaired within a year, it would cost a lot to repair it. 5.6 billion purple yuan. Just the down payment alone would cost him 1 billion purple yuan. Chapter 1053. White Deer Mansion had already earned tens of billions just from the deposit fees. Of course, the cost had to be deducted. There was no need to worry about recouping the cost. After all, there would be more services in the future. With Li Zhongjiu's brain, why would he need to cultivate elemental energy? He should just focus on doing business. Why would there be so many problems? Just the money he earned was enough to build a huge empire. Li Yun heard Li Zhongjiu's summon and came over directly. Li Yun used Ghost King Palace's resources, got a discount, and used her connections to obtain an Eagle battleship in advance. The Qilin battleship was still there. However, in terms of various functions, the Eagle battleship was much better than the Qilin battleship. It was just that if it wanted to go into attack mode, it would require at least 3 pilots to operate at the same time. Send me over and come back by yourself, Li Zhongjiu said. Li Yun glanced at the location on the map. It's very dangerous here. Do you really want to go there? I heard that there are some ancient barbarians there. They are very scary. They eat people. Li Yun couldn't help but worry. Barbarians are nothing. It's their bad luck to meet me, Li Zhongjiu said. The so-called barbarians were similar to humans who hadn't fully evolved yet. They still retain some beast-like intelligence. Usually, under such circumstances, they would be born with powerful strength and beastly nature. In addition, they had human-like intelligence and were extremely cunning. They could survive in a place filled with elemental beasts because of their intelligence and strength. However, they disdained to enter the human world. For many years, he had to walk and cultivate in this dense forest. Hence, the threat they posed was obviously much greater than some clumsy elemental beasts. Once they met these people, the easiest way was to turn and run. After running far away and leaving their territory, it would be relatively safer for them. Stop talking. Every time you open your mouth, I'm sure it's nothing good, Li Zhongjiu quickly said. This Li Yun's mouth was simply a god-level crow's mouth. Whatever she said would come true. Even if it was something irrelevant, Li Yun would be right. Therefore, Li Zhongjiu would rather Li Yun speak less. I'm just worried about your safety, so I'll give you a few more words of advice. Li Yun also looked aggrieved. Then, he walked to the side and muttered in a low voice. I heard that those barbarians have tribes. Wouldn't it be even more dangerous if we were caught by these tribes? The Eagle battleship rose into the air, carrying Li Zhongjiu towards the outer world. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from the sky above the sacred flame royal city. 2 days later, the Eagle battleship entered an extremely blue sky. At this moment, the Eagle battleship was flying in the sky, like a fish swimming in the sea. Buzz! From the battleship, a figure directly jumped down. Below them was a boundless sea of trees, and they could see the boundless mountains as far as the eye could see. The majestic mountains were also constantly magnified in front of his eyes. Li Zhongjiu's figure rapidly descended. This was the Tianji mountain range. The Eagle battleship's flying limit was 20,000 meters, but in the Tianji mountain range, the highest mountain was close to 8,000 meters. With Li Zhongjiu's strength, it was also easy for him to fall from such a high altitude. Whoosh! Li Zhongjiu's figure landed. There seemed to be some movement around him. Before he could react, he felt that there seemed to be something under his feet that was moving quickly. Trap! Whoosh! A poisonous vine directly wrapped around Li Zhongjiu's ankle, hanging Li Zhongjiu up. Then, a tree stump suddenly rushed over from the side. Bang! The front part of the tree stump was abnormally sharp, so when it hit, ordinary meta beasts would be penetrated by the tree stump. Bang! The tree stump hit Li Zhongjiu's head, but the tree stump directly shattered into pieces. Li Yun, you chose a good place for me. Li Zhongjiu was about to go crazy. Li Yun insisted that this place looked safer, and then asked Li Zhongjiu to land there. Therefore, Li Zhongjiu directly jumped down from this position. However, once he landed, he directly entered the center of the barbarian's trap. Obviously, there were barbarians' traps everywhere. In front of him, there were some extremely inferior traps rushing towards Li Zhongjiu. Li Zhongjiu also flicked his finger, and instantly shattered all the traps in front of him. With a slight force from his ankle, he directly broke the vines on his feet. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A round of throwing weapons rushed towards Li Zongjiu. As his feet swayed, he easily dodged all the throwing weapons. Roar! Suddenly, a roar that was loud enough to shake the mountains was heard. Then, a person who was close to 2.5 meters tall jumped out with a mace made of stone in his hand. Li Zongjiu looked at the markings on the weapon. All of them were made with teeth. Not only that, but the material of the stone was called hard cloud stone. As the name implied, the cloud-firm stone was relatively light among the many stones, but its hardness was extremely terrifying. Usually, some hard cloud stone would be used in tools used to excavate caves and mine veins. Because hard cloud stone was precious, good steel was used on the blade. The barbarian in front of him actually used a whole hard cloud stone as a weapon. The person opposite him did not give Li Zongjiu too much time to think. Boom! His opponent's hard cloud stone spiked mace slashed towards Li Zongjiu. Boom! In an instant, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. Li Zongjiu's figure flashed and dodged the opponent's attack. Immediately, a huge gully was smashed into the ground. What did you eat growing up? How can you be so strong? Even Li Zongjiu was shocked. Seeing the barbarian's strength without hesitation, he was shocked. However, the barbarian did not seem to be interested in talking to Li Zongjiu. He still swung his mace at Li Zongjiu like a storm. Clang! Li Zongjiu directly used the hammer in his hand to knock the barbarian's weapon away. The barbarian probably did not expect to be so easily knocked away by Li Zongjiu. He was immediately stunned. Do you really think you're invincible? In the next second, Li Zongjiu directly swung his hammer and blasted the barbarian's body into two. He did not have much time and did not have the time to watch your performance. The arrogant barbarian was directly broken into two and laid on the ground. However, Li Zongjiu could still see that the barbarian was still attacking. He did not expect that after being beaten to such a state, the barbarian still had the tenacity to attack. I still need to smash your head. Li Zongjiu stepped on the barbarian's head and crushed it. His body was stained with the barbarian's blood. Just as Li Zongjiu was about to leave, he found that there was a lot of movement in the surrounding forest. Fuck! In the next second, dozens of barbarians rushed out and surrounded Li Zongjiu. I really fell into the enemy's camp. Li Zongjiu suddenly thought that Li Yun really knew how to change the location. When he returned, he must thank Li Yun properly. The fighting strength of this group of barbarians was also very strong. One of them was holding a very large rock in his hand. Without saying anything, he smashed it towards Li Zongjiu's head. Boom! Li Zongjiu's fist shattered the rock. After seeing this scene, the rest of the barbarians were shocked. Although they were barbarians, they still had this shocked expression. This was because the barbarian who swung the huge rock just now was worthy of the title of Hercules in their tribe. Moreover, the rock in his hand was also quite hard. Basically, he would hit with every hit. However, it was shattered by Li Zongjiu's punch. Li Zongjiu picked up the cloud stone mace from before and immediately smashed the heads of these barbarians one by one. Bang bang bang. The more than 20 barbarians at the scene were all smashed in the head by Li Zongjiu. With their strength, they naturally couldn't trap Li Zongjiu. A group of barbarian corpses immediately fell to the ground. Li Zongjiu also left this bloody place. Soon, the smell of blood attracted many meta beasts and devoured the place clean. Although these barbarians looked very similar to humans, in fact, they were more like wild beasts with human intelligence. The way they lived were also extremely primitive and full of bestiality. He walked out of the dense forest. Li Zongjiu first used his mental strength to search around, but didn't find any signs in the surroundings. Just as he was about to go deeper, he found a few figures fighting in front of him. Immediately, Li Zhongjiu's figure flashed and appeared near the battle waves. It was a group of young people who were training. The group of 7, 4 males and 3 females. Their ages were basically around 25 years old, and the leader was a female. Looking at her attire, she should be from a sect in the nearby Tianyan dynasty. Their opponents were 3 barbarians. These barbarians have captured Junior Guo, they must capture me and ask for my whereabouts. The leader was a woman in white. She held a 3 feet long sword in her hand, and a terrifying sword chi green glow was released from the sword. It swept towards one of the barbarians. However, this barbarian was wearing a rattan armor with extremely strong defense. The sword chi only left a slight mark on the rattan armor. Roar! The weapon in the barbarian's hand was the same as the one Li Zhongjiu saw. It was a cloud stone mace. Clang! The cloud stone mace smashed onto the sword of the woman in white and sent her flying. Chapter 1054. Bang! The woman in white was sent flying for dozens of meters before crashing into a tree, causing the surrounding leaves to swirl in the air. The other 2 barbarians besieged by the other 6 barbarians also broke through the encirclement at this moment and sent 2 of the shield-wielding boys flying. Seeing that someone had been sent flying, a girl in a blue dress with a crystal ball hovering between her palms immediately dispersed 2 forces from the crystal ball and merged into the bodies of the 2 shield-wielding warriors who had been sent flying. The other 2 boys had spears as their weapons, while the last girl was constantly releasing arrows from her bow. The arrows that shot out instantly hit the neck of a barbarian who was about to kill. His neck was instantly pierced by the green arrow. The barbarian seemed to be in pain. Under such circumstances, he roared loudly and was obviously thinking of retreating at this time. Don't let them escape. The archers kept releasing arrows. However, the arrows were easily blocked by the barbarian's defenses. Damn it! 2 spear-wielding men rushed to the front, wanting to stop him. However, they were easily sent flying. If it weren't for the protective armor on their bodies protecting their vitals, their internal organs would have been crushed by the force of the collision. After all, they were just a group of people who were not even Yuan monarchs. The leading woman in white wanted to chase after the 3 barbarians when she saw them escaping but suffered serious internal injuries. At this moment, she could not get up and increase her speed. She could not catch up. She could only watch as the 3 barbarians were about to escape. Once they entered the forest, it would be very difficult to find traces of these guys and it would be very easy for them to be ambushed in the process. These barbarians were all crafty and cunning. Boom! 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 Suddenly, the 3 barbarians were sent flying and landed heavily on the ground. There was a very obvious footprint on their chests. What happened? The barbarians, who had already escaped, were now being kicked to this place. It should be known that these 3 barbarians were equivalent to Yuan monarchs in strength. It would not be easy for their small team to take them down. However, they were knocked down in an instant. Obviously, the internal organs of these 3 barbarians were all crushed. Everyone, be careful. The white-robed woman said calmly. The situation at the scene seemed to have changed. An invisible danger was approaching. They were all staring ahead. The archers standing on the treetops were also trying their best to aim at the tunnel in front of them. Someone's here. The beautiful archer issued a warning and saw a young man wearing a gray alchemist robe appear in her line of sight. Creak, the bowstring in his hand was pulled tightly. The other party walked at a leisurely pace. Throughout the process, it could be seen that the other party was very calm, as if he was just taking a stroll around the area. Suddenly, a ferocious black tiger emerged from behind Li Zhongjiu. It's a black-winged tiger. Rank 5 origin beast, black-winged tiger. No, it wasn't as simple as a rank 5 chieftain. The black-winged tiger's speed and strength were the best among rank 5 soul beasts. When he rushed over, he directly pounced on Li Zongjiu. The archer subconsciously released the arrow in his hand. The moment the rest of the people saw the black-winged tiger appear, they all widened their eyes. The black-winged tiger's ferocious movements showed that it had been dormant for a long time. Just this bite was enough to bite off the young man's head. Li Zongjiu gently grabbed behind him and threw the black-winged tiger to the front. Bang! With a suave shoulder throw, the black-winged tiger was violently smashed to the ground. Boom! The black-winged tiger's body bloomed like a lotus flower. In an instant it was smashed into a pile of meat paste. And the one who did all this was the mysterious young man in front of them. Thank you for your help. The white-robed woman led the crowd to gather. Although everyone maintained a vigilant look, they knew that the strength Li Zongjiu had just displayed was enough to easily cripple them. No matter how vigilant they were, it was useless. When Li Zongjiu walked closer, the white-robed woman saw Li Zongjiu's appearance clearly. At least judging from his aura, Li Zongjiu was a human. Where did you come from? Li Zongjiu asked. We are disciples of the Sky Water sect from the Tianyan dynasty. Sky Water sect? Li Zongjiu was slightly surprised. He glanced at the white-robed woman and the others. You are outer sect disciples, right? When did the Sky Water sect become so weak? Li Zongjiu's words were like a knife stabbing into their hearts. These words were too hurtful and unbearable. The Sky Water sect was at least one of the top 10 super sects in the Tianyan dynasty. If the Shengyan dynasty's Shenyuan sect was 10 times stronger, it would be equivalent to the Sky Water sect's strength. At least that was Li Zongjiu's impression. The Sky Water sect's strength in his previous life was not bad. Ahem, we are all inner sect disciples. May I know who you are? Just call me Evil Lord. Li Zongjiu said lightly. His words sounded very humble, but the content did not make people feel that he was being humble at all. Even the long-legged archer on the treetop was choked by Li Zongjiu's humble and extremely pretentious words. When he said it in such a serious manner, it was simply unbearable. However, it was not that funny because Li Zongjiu was not joking in the first place. Ahem, evil. Evil Lord. Evil Lord Senior. It was indeed a little weird to call him that. However, he was so strong that he was not simple. He might be an old monster or senior who had cultivated for hundreds of years somewhere. Now that he was out for a walk, he just happened to bump into them. If he did not meet Li Zongjiu today, these barbarians would have escaped. This evil Lord Senior in front of him. He was at least of the primitive emperor realm. Therefore, the white-robed lady and the rest were extremely cautious. In such a place, they could not casually offend these experts. It would be fine if they had some principles. If they did not have those principles, they might do something. Have you seen this Yuan beast before? Li Zongjiu opened his palm. Immediately, a wave of Yuan qi gathered in the center of his palm. The figure of a seagull emerged and floated in the center of Li Zongjiu's palm. Seeing the appearance of the seagull, the white-robed lady and the rest almost had a feeling of fascination. Even if it was just a form that Li Zongjiu simulated, it was too realistic. Therefore, it was very easy for people to be mesmerized by the seagull's posture. What a beautiful little bird. The blue-robed lady who was good at healing was also a water elemental master. When she saw the seagull in Li Zongjiu's hand, she was mesmerized at a glance. From the eyes of these people, Li Zongjiu knew that these people had never seen a seagull before. Forget it, it's useless to ask you. Li Zongjiu retracted his hand and prepared to continue his search. The Sky Ridge mountain range was vast. Moreover, the search of mental power was greatly hindered in this place. There were too many factors in the surroundings, so Li Zongjiu could only use his feet to search for possible situations within a certain range. I know about the seagull. I've heard of it. The long-legged beautiful archer jumped down from the tree. She carried her longbow on her back and looked at Li Zongjiu. "You've seen a seagull before?" Li Zongjiu looked at the latter. "I know about the legend of the seagull. I also know where in the Sky Ridge mountain range there are clues," the beautiful archer said. "There's no harm in telling you, but you have to help us save Junior Guo first." "You first," Li Zongjiu said. The beautiful archer was obviously hesitant. She glanced at the white-clothed female captain. She was obviously worried that Li Zongjiu would not admit it after she told him. This information was not something that could be obtained easily. But there was no other way. By the time the experts of her sect arrived, Junior Guo would have been killed by these barbarians. At the highest peak of the Sky Ridge mountain, there is a seagull nest. Not one, but two. The beautiful archer pointed at the mountain range that was close to 10,000 meters high. At the highest peak, there was a seagull nest there. Originally, Li Zongjiu's goal was to reach the highest peak. However, there was no telling what would happen, so he thought that he might as well search around and climb the mountain. To reach the highest peak of the Sky Ridge mountain, one had to climb up from the foot of the mountain. Because of the unique airflow formed by the chi of heaven and earth, it was impossible to reach the highest peak of the Sky Ridge mountain from this height. The powerful storm surrounding the mountain peak is enough to send you flying to some unknown corner. 2. Li Zongjiu frowned. He did not expect that there would be two. This was a little troublesome. That seagull is rumored to be a supreme divine beast. If you anger it, you will definitely be killed, the long-legged archer said in a low voice. He seemed to want to remind Li Zongjiu not to overestimate himself. At the same time, he was looking at the changes in Li Zongjiu's body. He needed to know that Li Zongjiu would not leave directly. At the very least, he had to keep his promise and help them save their people. "Where are your companions?" As a senior, Li Zongjiu certainly would not break his promise in front of a child. Even before he became famous, he had to be an honest and trustworthy person. This was the only way to walk the right path. In front. Hearing that Li Zongjiu was willing to agree, the few of them were very surprised. Chapter 1055. The 8 of them walked towards a hidden valley in front of them. They could see a few bonfires hidden in the valley. At the same time, there were some strange cries. "Oh no, it's a medium-sized tribe with at least 100 barbarians." After surveying the surroundings for a while, the woman in white had a look of extreme despair on her face. Hundreds of barbarians. Just now, a team of 3 had already beaten the 7 of them to a pulp. Although they would definitely have a chance to capture them after a while, there were hundreds of barbarians in the valley. However, there were hundreds of barbarians in this valley. If these barbarians were to attack at the same time, they would be drowned in an instant. "Ah, I think I saw a little girl tied to a piece of wood with a lot of firewood piled below." Li Zongjiu's vision allowed him to see the situation in the valley clearly. When he said this, these people immediately became nervous. They must want to cook Junior's sister and eat her, these cruel barbarians. Immediately, the beautiful archer's face was filled with anxiety. She even grabbed the bow on her back, ready to rush in at any time. At least she had to try. "Stay here and don't move." Then, Li Zongjiu walked towards the barbarian tribe alone. "Evil Lord Senior." The woman in white wanted to stop Li Zongjiu and remind him of the terrifying number of barbarians here. What a huge lineup. He must not be careless. However, Li Zongjiu did not turn around, only waving his hand behind him. The barbarians quickly smelled Li Zongjiu's scent. Immediately, their eyes were filled with murderous intent. Roar! There seemed to be a leader who roared in Li Zongjiu's direction. Suddenly, the earth shook, as if the sky was falling. Countless figures could be seen rushing towards Li Zongjiu's direction. As far as the eye could see, the barbarians were filled with barbarians. Shadows of these barbarians covered the sky and covered the earth. They rushed out in a hurry, wanting to kill Li Zongjio. My God, will he die? The woman in white and the others were extremely nervous when they saw this scene. The formation of over 100 barbarians was even more terrifying than an army of thousands on the battlefield. I don't think so. Even the woman in white was extremely uncertain. However, with such a huge lineup in front of her, wouldn't Li Zongjio be devoured in a matter of minutes? Boom! Suddenly, he saw Evil Lord holding a small hammer-like thing in his hand and smashing it towards the ground. Immediately, there was a rumbling sound, and an incomparably terrifying vibrating force was set off. The barbarians, who had been charging at them ferociously, all fell to the ground at this moment. Bang! It was as if all the barbarians had been swallowed by a pit, and they were all involuntarily sucked in. After that, Evil Lord put his hands behind his back and easily went around the barbarians in the pit. The people from the Sky Water sect in the distance widened their eyes in disbelief when they saw this scene. They exchanged glances with each other, as if trying to get confirmation from each other's eyes. Is this real? After a while, the young Evil Lord returned to them with a figure in his hand. The person being carried was their junior sister Guo. Junior sister, are you all right? At this moment, junior sister Guo was tied up tightly. The situation just now had scared her to death. It was obvious that some strange ceremony was being held, and then they wanted to roast her and eat her. Fortunately, Li Zongjio descended from the sky and saved her. This gave junior martial sister Guo a sense of joy, as if she had escaped a calamity and survived. Whoosh! Li Zongjio didn't say much. After handing junior sister Guo to these people, he directly soared into the sky and rushed towards the highest peak of Sky Ridge Mountain. Everyone untied junior sister Guo. Woo woo, senior sister bye, I thought I would never see you again. After being saved, junior sister Guo was obviously very excited. She immediately threw herself into the arms of the woman in white. It's okay. Aren't we saved? Let's quickly return to the sect and give up on this trial. Senior sister Bai said slowly. Even she herself was a little surprised that she was able to save junior sister Guo. Who was the person who saved me just now? Is he an elder of the sect? An elder of the sect? Not to mention whether such a person with such a personality was an elder of the sect, just based on his age and appearance, none of the elders in the sect could compare. Just now, Li Zongjio could be said to have killed hundreds of barbarians with one move. He was incomparably powerful. Obviously, that move just now wasn't his limit. If it was his limit, who knows how many barbarians would have died with that hammer strike. He's called Evil Lord, we don't know him. He also saved us once. Everyone looked towards the direction where Li Zongjio soared into the sky. In their hearts, they thought that today was indeed an incomparably wonderful journey. If it wasn't for Li Zongjio today, they didn't know what would have happened to them. Evil Lord. What a domineering name, because junior sister Guo was in Li Zongjio's hand, she didn't see Li Zongjio's appearance clearly. Let's quickly leave this place. Senior sister Bai said. Immediately, everyone quickly retreated from the Sky Ridge Mountain. For the disciples of the Sky Water sect, the Sky Ridge Mountain was already so dangerous. If it was someone else, they probably wouldn't know how many times they would have died. This time, if they didn't encounter Li Zongjio, the three barbarians would have rushed back to call for reinforcements. They wouldn't have been able to escape. Time was tight. Li Zongjio's figure continuously accelerated in the void. After a while, he rushed to the foot of the highest peak. Along the way, he didn't know how many primitive emperor-level meta-beasts' territories he had passed. Now, these primitive emperor-level meta-beasts were constantly howling. Because they couldn't find Li Zongjio who had already left, they directly looked for the meta-beasts nearby and had a good fight. Mountain Auk, I hope you're here, so that I don't have to look for you everywhere. Li Zongjio raised his head and looked. Then, he began his journey of climbing the mountain. Along the way, some ferocious meta beasts would suddenly rush out from a dark corner and directly rush towards Li Zongjiu. However, Li Zongjiu had the black dragon hammer in his hand and took down all the meta beasts that rushed towards him. After that, he easily took out the meta crystals from their bodies. It took Li Zongjiu almost a day to reach the peak of the mountain. The main reason was that he had passed by the territories of some primitive emperor-level meta beasts and discovered that there were many treasures in their territories. Therefore, Li Zongjiu naturally used his evil lord's charm to persuade them to hand over the treasures. However, these meta beasts obviously couldn't understand Li Zongjiu's charm. After a few rounds of beating, they obediently handed over the treasures. Along the way, the harvest was also very rich. Just the 7th grade spiritual medicine alone, he had already obtained no less than 3 stalks. There's an extremely strong turbulence in front. Li Zongjiu was less than 200 meters away from the highest point. Now, the surroundings were already bare cliffs. Li Zongjiu could only move around the cliffs continuously, trying to find the mountain auk's nest. Under the turbulence of the turbulence, Li Zongjiu was also extremely vigilant. Boom! The cliffs above his head were suddenly hit by a strong force. Suddenly, gravel flew out. Rumble! The terrifying and violent force that was constantly rushing towards him made even Li Zongjiu feel like there was a huge gust of wind under his feet, making it difficult for him to stand firm. Damn it! Li Zongjiu had no choice but to continuously dive downwards, so that he wouldn't be blown away by the force. Looking up, he realized that the 2 primeval meta beasts were fighting in the sky. Between the surging dark clouds, the figures of the 2 meta beasts were faintly discernible. With Li Zongjiu's current cultivation, he naturally didn't dare to go near them casually. The mountain auk. That's right, one of them is the mountain auk. What's the other one? Li Zongjiu's eyes flashed. He finally saw it clearly. It's actually a sky-flipping dragon. Li Zongjiu saw it clearly. A dragon was fighting with the mountain auk, and 2 primeval meta beasts were releasing a terrifying aura at this moment. It was simply unbelievable. In fact, such a scene wasn't common. This sky-flipping dragon has at least 1,000 years of cultivation. It's probably going to break through now. When Li Zongjiu saw the sky-flipping serpent, he roughly guessed the latter's strength after a round of assessment. However, the mountain auk was indeed an ancient mythical beast. Although its body wasn't as big as the sky-flipping dragon, its wings were like knives, and its sharp claws could easily release a terrifying power that could easily shatter the scales of the sky-flipping dragon. The sky-flipping dragon didn't dare to go near the mountain auk, so it could only attack from afar. The heaven-shaking flood dragon spat out bolts of terrifying lightning from its mouth and bombarded the mountain seagull. The mountain auk seemed to have some reservations. Li Zongjiu's gaze also caught sight of a gentle ray of light within the clouds. I see. Li Zongjiu saw a figure in the clouds. It turned out that the other mountain auk was incubating an egg, but it seemed to be severely injured and couldn't hatch the egg successfully. Boom! The mountain auk that was in the middle of the battle suddenly released the power of the mountain auk. Suddenly, a huge gust of wind swept the sky-flipping dragon away. However, the sky-flipping dragon obviously wouldn't give up so easily. Chapter 1056. Immediately, the sky-flipping dragon channeled its terrifying energy into the sky, and dark clouds covered the sky. It was obvious that it wanted to start the final battle. Seeing this, the mountain seagull finally turned around to look at its mate and the unborn mountain seagull. It was obvious that the mother mountain seagull was already at the end of her rope. She channeled all her energy into the egg. She exchanged glances with her husband across the sky. Then, the 2 of them worked together and blasted the egg away. Boom! The egg was blasted away. It was obvious that it did not want to be eaten by the sky-flipping dragon. Then, the mountain seagull couple decided to work together to fight the sky-flipping dragon. At the very least, they had to die together with the sky-flipping dragon. Li Zhongjiu's figure instantly rushed towards the DN egg of the seagull that had been sent away. Whoosh! As for the battle between the mountain seagull and the sky-flipping dragon, it was obvious that Li Zhongjiu could not interfere. If Li Zhongjiu appeared as a human, it would be like two human experts fighting and a meta beast suddenly appeared. It was obvious that the two human experts would deal with the meta beast. Moreover, this was a matter between the meta beasts and had nothing to do with Li Zhongjiu. He did not expect to be so lucky as to find the mountain seagull's egg. This kind of newly born meta beast would become a loyal friend for life, and the degree of cooperation would be very high. Boom! Li Zhongjiu chased the egg across the entire Tianji mountain range. In just a few seconds, he had crossed tens of thousands of miles. There was a terrifying tremor from the Tianji mountain range. Li Zhongjiu did not know how the battle was going. Boom! The bird egg smashed into one of the strongholds. Coincidentally, this mountain range was a bandit's nest. They were celebrating when they suddenly saw the egg falling from the sky. One of the houses was destroyed by the explosion. When they saw this scene, almost everyone couldn't believe their eyes. Fuck! Boss, a treasure has fallen from the sky. Boss, you're going to be rich. Immediately, a person who looked like a military counselor said excitedly. That's right. Oh. There's such a good thing. When the bandit leader heard this, he immediately became excited. What beauties and treasures. Of course, this was what people like him liked the most. Otherwise, who would want to be a bandit leader? Although the things that fell from the sky had killed many of his brothers, the bandit leader didn't feel the slightest bit of regret. Since his brothers had died, he could just recruit a new batch of them. In the open space of their stronghold, a large pit appeared. Within the crater, a ray of light was gradually dispersing. After the light dissipated, everyone saw that there was an egg in the pit that was constantly alternating between blue and white halos. However, this egg was at least twice the size of an ordinary person's head. Just by looking at it, one could tell that it was not an ordinary thing. Fuck, military advisor, this is the treasure you were talking about. This is clearly an egg. When the bandit leader saw this egg, he immediately became furious. He wanted gold, silver, and treasures. Why would he want this egg? Leader, take a look. This egg isn't simple at all. Look at how it didn't even suffer any damage after falling from such a high place. It must be something that's even tougher than metal. If we were to forge this egg into a weapon, how fearsome do you think it would be? Even the 100-flower sect formation wouldn't be able to withstand it. When the military advisor was stopped, he immediately felt like his head was covered in sweat. On the spot, he tried his best to think of an excuse. He had to quickly make up for this egg. Oh. Since you said so, I'll give it a try. When we break through the 100-flower sect's 100-flower formation, I want to see how delicate these people are. Bring this egg up. Immediately, the bandit leader waved his hand and ordered people to bring the seagull egg up. However, just as these people were about to touch the egg, another figure fell from the sky. Boom! The people around him were sent flying by the shockwave. A young man appeared in everyone's line of sight and gently picked up the egg. His eyes were filled with surprise and joy. You! Who are you? Put down my egg. The bandit leader immediately pointed at Li Zhongjiu and said. After Li Zhongjiu held the egg, his body instantly rose into the sky. Boom! He disappeared in front of everyone. After an entire day of bombardment, the bandit leader was completely dumbfounded. What was going on? How dare you not put our Black Dragon Mountain in your eyes? Brothers, catch that guy for me. However, the bandits of the Black Dragon Mountain only roared and screamed on the ground. They were unable to find Li Zongjiu's figure before disappearing into the horizon. Li Zongjiu placed the seagull egg into his hell world. In order to ensure that the egg was always alive, the seagull egg in his hand was nurtured with his own power. After that, Li Zongjiu rushed to the highest peak of the Sky Ridge Mountain again. Of course, Li Zongjiu had always been thinking about the power of the 1,000-year sky-flipping dragon. In his previous life, Li Zongjiu was famous for devouring power. Later on, he perfectly controlled this power. However, later on, his own power couldn't smoothly help him break through to the Saint Realm. Therefore, in this life, Li Zongjiu didn't use the previous cultivation method. Instead, he cultivated the cultivation method brought by the 4 dragon souls. The sky-flipping dragon would definitely be severely injured in this battle. Under normal circumstances, if Li Zongjiu fought with this 1,000-year sky-flipping dragon, his chances of winning would be very low. It was more likely that the sky-flipping dragon would easily escape. However, the 2 seagulls must have fought with their lives against the sky-flipping dragon. In the process, they must have used all their means. As expected, when Li Zongjiu arrived near the Sky Ridge Mountain, he saw the sky-flipping dragon diving into a deep abyss. The 2 seagulls must have died under the sky-flipping dragon's claws. Li Zongjiu chased after the sky-flipping dragon without hesitation. Facing the bottomless abyss, Li Zongjiu was also skilled and daring. He jumped into the abyss. In the abyss, the temperature dropped sharply. This should be where the sky-flipping dragon lived. The territories of the 2 supreme-level meta beasts were so close. Obviously, the sky-flipping dragon must have been hibernating here for a long time. Humans were said to be dangerous, but these meta beasts were even more dangerous. The main reason was that the sky-flipping dragon had intelligence and developed an especially sinister character. It was waiting for the seagulls to be at the most critical moment, so it attacked them. Otherwise, if they fought head-on, the sky-flipping dragon definitely wasn't a match for the seagulls. Now that the sky-flipping dragon was severely injured, it built a cave on the mountain wall that was almost 3,000 meters below the abyss. Its sharp claws left marks on the mountain wall. It climbed in directly. This thing can really find a place to hide. Li Zongjiu finally found the cave where the sky-flipping dragon was hiding. He didn't expect the highest peak of the Sky Ridge Mountain to be almost 10,000 meters above ground. However, he didn't know how deep it extended underground. Standing beside the cave, Li Zongjiu took out the black dragon hammer and held it tightly in his hand. Chapter 1057. This place was extremely dark, and there was also a cold yin qi leaking out from the surroundings. Normal people wouldn't come to such a place. Moreover, there was an extremely ferocious and sinister primordial beast in the cave. Li Zongjiu walked into the cave. The sky-flipping dragon didn't seem to notice Li Zongjiu's arrival. It was lying on its dragon stone bed to recover from its injuries. According to the normal process, this should be the ultimate treasure hunt. However, Li Zongjiu directly found this guy's lair. On the body of the sky-flipping dragon, it was also covered with cuts and bruises. After finding the right opportunity, Li Zongjiu walked out without hesitation. The black dragon hammer in his hand directly hammered the head of the sky-flipping dragon. "Give me your life." Li Zongjiu was silent before he struck. However, after he struck, there was a surge of lightning. When the sky-flipping dragon opened its eyes, it was too late to dodge. However, its tail was swung towards Li Zongjiu fiercely. After resisting the opponent's attack, Li Zongjiu's hammer had already hit the head of the sky-flipping dragon. In an instant, the body of the sky-flipping dragon started to twitch. The huge body of the sky-flipping dragon immediately shook in the cave. At the same time, a powerful and terrifying force bombarded Li Zongjiu's body continuously. Boom! Li Zongjiu attacked continuously. In the end, the sky-flipping dragon died under Li Zongjiu's hammer. A primordial beast at the primordial beast level. He didn't expect it to be defeated so easily by Li Zongjiu. The sky-flipping dragon didn't even dream that today was supposed to be the day of his ascension. However, at such a critical moment, someone rushed out and cruelly took away his strength. The strength that he had accumulated over so many years was taken away so easily. This made the sky-flipping dragon feel wronged. As the sky-flipping dragon lay on the ground on the verge of death, Li Zongjiu did not hesitate to extract the sky-flipping dragon's blood. A deep hole was dug in the ground. He poured the blood of the sky-flipping dragon into it. Then, Li Zongjiu also jumped into the blood of the sky-flipping dragon. Soaking in blood like this naturally didn't have any effect. It looked like a living pervert. However, the flood dragon's blood contained an enormous amount of energy. Although it wasn't as terrifying as the dragon's blood, it was a very effective accelerant compared to the flood dragon's blood. When Li Zongjiu gently released a bit of towering flame, it fell into the flood dragon blood pool. In an instant, the flood dragon blood pool rumbled, and an extremely terrifying flame fluctuation immediately rolled up. Who? The ancient golden tyrant body art began to circulate on its own. Obviously, it felt that Li Zongjiu's body seemed to be under a strong threat. Even Li Zongjiu didn't have time to react. The power came too fast, too fast. Moreover, when he was fighting with the sky-flipping dragon, his body was hit quite a lot and he suffered quite a few injuries. Only then did he recover with great difficulty. The surrounding power was surging. Li Zongjiu immersed himself in it and began a long cultivation state. The blood of the sky-flipping dragon only lasted for 5 days for Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu's body had already been tempered to the 3rd grade primitive emperor realm. This was quite a big breakthrough. Worthy of being a supreme primitive beast. The effect of fresh blood is so good. This was also the reason why Li Zongjiu was so anxious to cultivate on the spot. The blood had to be fresh. The effect of fresh blood would be more obvious. He couldn't waste it. This little thing's combat power has decreased by less than half. This wound shouldn't be caused by me. A supreme primitive beast is still a threat. Li Zongjiu finally had the time to check on the sky-flipping dragon that he had killed. The mountain seagull had left a terrible injury on the sky-flipping dragon. That was why Li Zongjiu was able to kill the sky-flipping dragon so easily. Li Zongjiu skillfully removed all the important parts of the heaven-defying Jiao dragon, such as the undeveloped dragon horns, dragon claws, and the unformed dragon pearl in its body. As for the remaining items, he kept them in his storage ring. After he brought them back and got someone to sort them out, they would definitely be very precious items. Just any one of these items in his hands would be enough to shake the entire sacred flame royal city. These were the items of a supreme primitive beast. Who wouldn't be surprised after taking them out? Ordinary people didn't have the ability to get their hands on these things. This dragon bed is a top-grade item. Li Zongjiu wanted to take down the dragon bed, but he didn't have the means to do so. He didn't have enough strength right now. This dragon bed was a whole piece of top-grade jade. Li Zongjiu couldn't figure out what kind of jade it was. Let's mark it first. Li Zongjiu took out the map and made a mark on the location. He didn't have the strength to move the dragon bed now. Even if he wanted to move it, he didn't know how much time and energy it would take. After making some markings, they headed toward the nearest city. After all, if he had to fly by himself, he didn't know how long it would take, and it was extremely easy to get lost. Although primitive emperors had terrifying speed, they wouldn't usually travel by themselves, because they would go astray if they weren't careful. Moreover, they would encounter all kinds of things along the way that would consume a lot of time. 100 Flowers City. 100 Flowers City was attached to the 100 Flowers sect. In the Tianyin dynasty, the support of the sect was obviously more obvious. Basically, there would be a sect behind every city. As the royal family of the Tianyin dynasty, they only needed to control the people of these sections. The main problem was the issue of tributes, and the people under them shouldn't have conflicts. If there were any conflicts, it would be solved in time. If the sect wanted to develop, it had to manage the city well because it was its resource. And if there are any major mistakes in the management of your sect, there will also be corresponding officials in the city to report it. It was equivalent to the dynasty borrowing the power of these sects to carry out decentralized management, and these sects would still be happy. The prerequisite for such a model was that one had to have great strength and be able to control these sects well. Otherwise, it would be a big deal if they casually created a demonic sect or evil sect, causing the people in the city to suffer. Before coming, he had already scouted the way. About half an hour later, Li Zhongzhou's figure landed not far from the city gate of Hundred Flowers City. Hundred Flowers City had a unique Hundred Flowers jelly. It was said that this Hundred Flowers jelly was not only a fragrant and delicious wine, but also a kind of healing medicine. It couldn't be bought in other places. It was only sold in Hundred Flowers City because it was the unique brew of the Hundred Flowers sect. Therefore, there was an endless stream of people coming to Hundred Flowers City to buy Hundred Flowers jelly every day. There was already a long queue at the gate. Li Zhongzhou stood at the back of the queue and followed them into the city. There was nothing particular about entering the city. After all, the Hundred Flowers sect was in charge. Who would dare to cause trouble? If they angered the Hundred Flowers sect, there would be more sects behind them. The consequences wouldn't be so simple. Chapter 1058. After paying and entering the city, Li Zhongzhou walked to the center of the flying boat. I want to book a flying boat to the Shengyan dynasty. When the person in charge of registration heard Li Zhongzhou's words, he raised his head and looked at Li Zhongzhou. Which city do you want to go to? Do you want to go fast or slow? The fastest one, to Wuxia city. I'll arrange a dragon boat for you, 400,000 gold coins. Because you have to come back empty, you have to pay 700,000 gold coins. Li Zhongzhou couldn't find change, so he directly took out 1 million gold coins and slapped it on the table. Sir, we can't give you change. How about I give you 2 bottles of 100 flower dew? That person's eyes were wide open. With so much money and so generous, he must be a rich man, so he needed to be well served. Is this thing authentic? Li Zhongzhou picked it up and glanced at it. He knew that it was fake. Of course, if it was sold in a place like this, it would be a little more authentic. It couldn't be too fake and would definitely be mixed with water. Sir, I can see that you are an expert. How could I use such a thing to deceive you? This is the pure 100 flower dew made by the 100 Flower Palace. It is absolutely authentic. Li Zhongzhou turned the bottle and found that it was indeed written with the words, made by the 100 Flower Palace. Hey, you shameless bastard, you are actually selling fake goods here. Li Zhongzhou was still observing the 100 flower dew in his hand. Who knew that a girl with a ponytail and wearing a floral dress would rush out from behind and point at the person just now? When the ticket seller saw the girl, he immediately threw a ticket to Li Zhongzhou. This is your ticket. It leaves at 5:00 in the afternoon. I have something to do, so I'll leave first. After saying that, he ran away like a wisp of smoke. Humph, you run fast. When the girl in the floral skirt saw that person escape, she angrily stomped her feet. These people were simply vermin that came to destroy their reputation. This made the girl in the floral skirt very angry. Hey, are you a foreigner? Only the 100 Flower sect has this 100 Flower dew. What 100 Flower Palace, 100 Flower Square, 100 Flower Hall, they're all fakes. Li Zhongzhou was suddenly enlightened after hearing this. Ah, these people are so powerful. I thought that only the things inside were fake. I didn't expect that even the names were fake. This was something that Li Zhongzhou had not expected. Even if you were an old monster that had lived for 3,000 years, you would never be able to grasp or learn the tricks of a businessman. These people had countless tricks up their sleeves and could use all kinds of tricks. The only way to avoid being tricked by merchants was to not buy from them. That way, they would never be tricked. How much did you spend? The girl in the floral skirt looked at Li Zongjio and said. This person was so young, but he liked the 100-flower do so much. As a disciple of the 100-flower sect, she naturally couldn't bear to see Li Zongjio go back like this. Otherwise, he would really think that the 100-flower do of the 100-flower sect was such low-grade goods. 200,000 gold coins. What? If I catch that guy, I won't let him go. Here, I only have one bottle in my hand. The normal price is 50,000 gold coins. Don't be tricked like this next time. The girl took out a small gourd. Inside the gourd was the 100-flower dew. Li Zongjio took the gourd. Then, the girl seemed to be preparing to settle the score with the person just now. She also turned around to call for help with a fierce look. Li Zongjio couldn't help but mourn for that person for a few minutes. The ship would depart at 5 in the afternoon. There were still 5 hours left. Li Zongjio couldn't just sit here and wait. It was a good opportunity to walk around 100-Flower City and buy some things to bring back. Since 100-Flower City was famous, there were naturally many tourists coming and going. So there were naturally things to buy and bring back. After strolling around for a while, Li Zongjio found a tea house and sat down. He ordered a pot of tea and a bowl of noodles from a noodle stall across the street. Just as Li Zongjio was eating leisurely, there was a commotion in front of him. Li Zongjio looked up and saw a familiar figure surrounded by a few people dressed like hooligans. Their words were extremely arrogant, and it seemed like they were going to get physical. The person who was surrounded was the girl in the floral dress who showed up and gave him a gourd of 100-flower dew. At this moment, the girl in the floral dress was so angry that her face turned red. These people in front of her relied on someone to back them up and act shamelessly on the street. Basically, this girl found out that they were selling fake 100-flower dew, so she came forward to disrupt the deal. However, that was a big customer. A good business was ruined by this girl's words. Usually, it would be fine if he just endured it, but today, he really couldn't take it anymore. He had to teach this crazy girl a lesson. Since you know the rules, then I'll teach you the rules. It seemed like the negotiation had broken down, and the other party took the initiative to attack. He reached out to grab the little girl. The girl in the floral dress had also practiced a few moves. When she saw the other party's hand reach out, she nimbly dodged the move. Then, she lifted the man up and threw him behind her. Bang! This move directly smashed the burly man onto a small cart. In an instant, the small cart was overturned. Bitch, how dare you attack me? Cripple her. Catch her. I'm going to strip her naked on the street. This new ruffian was not simple. There must be someone behind him, and it was said that he was a spy sent by the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold. That was why she was so arrogant. She was so overbearing that she dared to attack a disciple of the 100-Flower sect in 100-Flower City. As the saying goes, 2 fists are difficult to deal with a 4th strike. In addition, the other party was young and strong, the girl was not skilled, and the other party had a lot of people lying in ambush nearby. The girl could only retreat as she fought. At one point, she even wanted to escape. However, just as she jumped up and was about to fly to the roof, her ankle was grabbed. Where do you think you're going? After he finished speaking, he forcefully flung the young girl away. The girl flipped a few times on the ground, but she still could not get rid of the force. In the end, she sat on the ground. It was obvious that the fall was not light, and she sprained her ankle just now. It was so painful that her face was distorted. Hee, why don't you run? Within a 3-street radius, there are all my brothers. Where do you think you're going? The strong man who was thrown to the ground just now stood up awkwardly. Now, he had a vicious look on his face. When he was thrown to the ground just now, he was screaming miserably. "Hey, you guys, you're affecting my noodles." Just as the burly man was about to grab the young girl, an extremely inconspicuous person eating noodles at a nearby tea stall spoke up. The young girl who had fallen to the ground also looked at the young man who was eating noodles in astonishment. When she recognized Li Zongjio, her eyes were also filled with surprise. Wasn't this the guy who had been tricked in the afternoon? Damn, I'm so ostentatious. So what if I'm affecting your noodles? If you want to be a hero and save the beauty, you'll have to save your own life first. Cripple this kid. The leader of the group waved his hand, and his heroic spirit rose. At this moment, more than 30 brothers had already gathered around him. The Black Dragon Mountain stronghold did not have many things, but they had a lot of brothers. Chapter 1059. A group of people immediately rushed towards Li Zongjio. "Hurry up and leave, they are very fierce." The girl in the floral dress was worried that Li Zongjio would be beaten to death by these people, so she hurriedly advised him. However, Li Zongjio was leisurely eating the last mouthful of noodles. At this moment, the person in front of the other party had already thrown a fist at him. Bang! Li Zongjio directly smashed the bowl on the other party's head. Immediately, blood spurted out from the head and the person fell to the ground. The rest of the people who rushed up did not even touch Li Zongjio's clothes. They were all sent flying and fell to the ground. Bang! 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 Because Li Zongjio had just broken through, his control of the strength in his hands was not very precise. Many people were directly knocked unconscious on the spot. There were also a few whose legs were directly broken. The worst one was probably the one whose brain was damaged by Li Zongjio's punch. He was foaming at the mouth on the spot. Anyone who got close to it was put down on the ground. The surrounding crowd was also in an uproar. They did not expect this young man to be a hidden expert. Seeing this, the girl from the 100 Flowers sect was also stunned. The injury on her leg quickly recovered under her own treatment. Originally, she wanted to quickly recover before helping Li Zongjio. However, she saw Li Zongjio take down the other party in an instant. It was really shocking. She did not expect this seemingly honest young man to have such skills. No wonder he dared to roam the Jianghu alone with such a brain. You dared to hit our people from the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold. Kid, just you wait. If you have the guts, don't leave. Alright, I'll wait for you here. Li Zongjio thought that since he still had time, he might as well go against these people. It just so happened that he was bored. However, it was indeed a little boring to play these tricks with these people here. Moreover, it felt a little degrading. What are you doing here? Hurry up and leave. The leader of the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold is a Yuan monarch expert. Even our sect master does not dare to say that he can take him down. The girl in the floral dress was obviously very nervous. Although she was grateful to Li Zongjio for helping her, the most important thing now was to leave this place and escape. Returning to the 100 Flowers sect was the safest right now. It's just a Yuan monarch. Don't worry. You helped me before. I won't let you help me for nothing. A kind-hearted person should be rewarded with a little justice. Sometimes, Li Zongjio felt that this was what a strong person should do. Although Li Zongjio had killed countless people in his previous life and it was the same in this life, it did not mean that Li Zongjio wanted to be a bad person. Most of the time, he was forced by these people. Bad people were usually forced to be bad. After all, there were only a few people who were born bad. However, if these bad people were to be bad to Li Zongjio, then Li Zongjio would have to give them a good warning. When it came to being bad, no one could be worse than Li Zongjio. You rascal, the people from the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold are all bandits and hooligans. Hurry up and follow me to the 100 Flowers sect. They won't dare to do anything if you go to my sect. The girl said. Didn't you just say that your sect master might not be able to defeat them? Li Zongjiu looked at the girl and said. The girl paused for a moment. Although this was the truth, at least it would be relatively safer if she went there. Otherwise, where else could be safe within 100 miles? You. Then hurry up and run away. It's fine, let's see what tricks they have up their sleeves. Oh right, your 100-flower Haworthia is too light. Do you have something stronger? Li Zongjiu said. He tasted the 100-flower Haworthia that the girl gave him. It was obvious that the girl gave it to Li Zongjiu out of her own pocket. Such a kind person was rare. Since you helped Li Zongjiu did not care why you helped him. Today, he would repay you properly. Little Meng, are you all right? Two girls rushed out from the crowd and hurried to the side of the girl in the floral dress and asked with concern. I'm fine. The girl shook her head. You damn wastrel, how dare you bully our 100-flower sect's disciple? I think you don't want to live anymore. One of the girls saw that little Meng was dirty and the two of them were entangled here as if they were talking about something. She knew that Li Zongjiu must have bullied little Meng. Damn it, she had to take him down. No, Senior Sister Zhao. This mister just saved me. He's from the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold. Not only did they force people to buy and sell in our city, they even got some crudely made stuff to make the 100-flower Haworthia. I saw that stuff. If I eat it, I'll die. Little Meng said. She was extremely angry at the actions of the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold, but there was nothing she could do. The senior sister Zhao, who was aggressive towards Li Zongjiu before, was embarrassed when she heard that it was Li Zongjiu who saved her. I'm sorry for offending you before. But the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold is not to be trifled with. Let's leave this place quickly and report this to the sect. Senior Sister Zhao said. Hearing Senior Sister Zhao's words, little Meng nodded her head. No need. They're all here. Li Zongjiu pointed to the front. At this moment, an extremely domineering voice came from outside the crowd. Get out of my way. I want to see who dares to mess with my Black Dragon Mountain stronghold. I finally decided to settle down and do some small business. You're forcing me to become a bandit. When she heard this voice, it could be seen that Senior Sister Zhao's face changed. It became extremely ugly. She didn't think that the other party would come so quickly. Immediately, a large group of experts from the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold rushed in and surrounded Li Zongjiu and the other three. The murderous aura emanating from these people had clearly frightened the three little girls quite a bit. Boss, it's that brat. The person who ran to ask for help pointed in Li Zongjiu's direction and said fiercely. He even glared at Li Zongjiu, as if to say, brat, now you know how to regret it. The boss of the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold took a look at Li Zongjiu and stood rooted to the ground, stunned. He then moved closer and took a closer look. Instantly, his eyes widened like copper bells. Good, I've finally found you. Not only did you hurt my brother, you also stole my egg. Since I've met you here today, don't even think about living. Return my egg to me. It turned out that a few days ago, the seagull egg just happened to fall in the territory of the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold. The boss of the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold was naturally depressed because his egg was stolen. Moreover, he concluded that the person must be in 100 Flowers City. His efforts paid off. He finally found Li Zongjiu here. He hated Li Zongjiu to the bone. He gnashed his teeth and wanted to bite off Li Zongjiu's flesh. Who took your egg? Watch your words. Li Zongjiu frowned. This person's words were too vulgar. How could he say such words without any standard? Hearing it made people want to vomit. Damn it, what nonsense are you talking about? Today, I will chop off your head and step on it. I want to see how long you can pretend to be so pretentious. The boss of the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold suddenly roared. With a whoosh, the shiny sword on his waist was pulled out. The cold light made people shudder. "Be careful, young master." Xiao Meng couldn't help but shout. In the next moment, the sword had already chopped Li Zongjiu's body. No. To be precise, the sword had chopped Li Zongjiu's finger. The opponent's sword had been easily caught by Li Zongjiu's 2 fingers. At such a close distance, it seemed as if one could see Li Zongjiu's cold gaze. Clang! With a crisp sound, Li Zongjiu twisted the sword in half and stabbed it into the opponent's chest. A Yuan monarch expert fell to the ground with a thud. Just like that, he had been killed. Chapter 1060. Li Zongjiu killed the chief of the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold, who was also their boss, with a single move. The hundreds of people who came with him were stunned. Looking at the corpse on the ground, some of them immediately went crazy. This was their boss, and he was killed just like that. If news of this spread out, how would the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold survive? Some of them were also moved. This was such a good opportunity, wouldn't it mean that they had the chance to become the boss? At this moment it was also a good opportunity to reshuffle the cards. Therefore, each of them held their own thoughts and rushed out to kill. Kill! Li Zongjiu only snorted coldly in the face of the hundreds of people surrounding him. Humph! Immediately, it was as if countless invisible arrows had pierced through their hearts. Bang! 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 These hundreds of people directly fell backward and landed on the ground at the same time, losing their lives. In front of them were basically half of the elites of the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold, but now, they were all killed in an instant by an unknown youth. Such a magnificent scene immediately stunned the surrounding people. Even Senior Sister Zhao and the others hurriedly touched their own bodies. Fortunately, nothing happened to their bodies, and they were still intact. However, the scene in front of them was too shocking, and they believed that everyone present was dumbfounded. However, when they looked, Li Zongjiu's figure had already disappeared. He directly left. When did he leave? The 3 of them couldn't be dreaming, right? Where is he? Little Dream also looked around, but she couldn't find Li Zongjiu's figure. It was as if the Li Zongjiu who appeared just now was just an illusion, and it made people feel as if they were in an illusion. Heavens! Is this still the all-powerful Black Dragon Mountain stronghold that tyrannically abused their power? The scene in front of them was really horrifying. Li Zongjiu was like the god of death, specially coming here to take their lives. However, some of them could see that. Clearly, this Black Dragon Mountain stronghold was just unlucky to have met someone with such a strong cultivation level like Li Zongjiu. They were used to being arrogant, so it was inevitable that they would meet a ruthless person. Once they met a ruthless person, they were basically done for. Li Zongjiu was too ruthless. He had dealt with all of them. That was why one shouldn't be too arrogant. Otherwise, if one met a ruthless character, it would be too late even if one regretted it. Who is that person? Senior Sister Zhao asked. However, it was clear that little Meng was completely unaware of Li Zongjiu's identity. I don't know. I only know that he went to Wuxia city in the Shengyan dynasty. Because Wuxia city could be said to be the closest city to Sacred Flame Royal City, there were a lot of people passing through. There were even merchants from the Shengyan dynasty who came here to buy large amounts of 100 flower dew and brought them back. There were many such cases. Therefore, it wouldn't be easy to figure out Li Zongjiu's identity. However, although Li Zongjiu had left, there were still countless legends left behind. There were hundreds of corpses on the scene, but no one came to find trouble with Li Zongjiu. Because the people that Li Zongjiu killed were all people from the Black Dragon Mountain stronghold who had committed all kinds of crimes. At this moment, Li Zongjiu had already boarded the airship to Wuxia city. This airship was called the Dragon Boat. In terms of speed, it was pretty good. It was able to surpass the Chilean battleship in terms of speed. However, there was still a big gap between it and Li Zhongjiu's Eagle battleship. The airship flew smoothly all the way because Li Zhongjiu didn't want to waste any more time on the road. Therefore, when some bandits appeared in the sky, Li Zhongjiu directly defeated them when they got close. This made the pilot of the dragon boat calm down. He didn't expect the passenger on his airship to be such a powerful person. There was nothing to say. Along the way, Li Zhongjiu had blown up countless airships. After his reputation spread, no one dared to provoke Li Zhongjiu's dragon boat. Finally, on the third day, they arrived at Wuxia city. He hadn't been back for almost half a year. Now that he was back in Wuxia city, he finally felt like he had returned home. Li Zhongjiu summoned the Sky Blaze Lion and the Sky Hell Python. When the pilot of the dragon boat saw the two meta beasts suddenly charging towards him, he was scared out of his wits. However, the two meta beasts landed gently on the airship. They didn't make any aggressive moves. "Alright, you can go back. This is your reward." Li Zhongjiu casually rewarded the pilot with 1 million gold coins. When he received such a large sum of money, the pilot's legs almost went soft. He had never seen such a large sum of money before. He only received a few tens of thousands of gold coins. Moreover, this kind of reward was very rare. It was rare to see such a large reward in a year. The pilot was so excited that he kept thanking him. Li Zhongjiu brought the two meta beasts and landed in Wuxia city. Previously, the two meta beasts were active on the mountain of the Fog Snow Alchemy sect. The birds and cranes on the mountain were probably eaten by the Sky Hell Python. The Sky Blaze Lion looked at Li Zhongjiu hesitantly. Now, he felt threatened by Li Zhongjiu in his normal state. He even had a feeling that the strength of the Li Zhongjiu in front of him had far surpassed him. This feeling made the Sky Blaze Lion feel a little incredulous. After all, Li Zhongjiu had to go all out when he fought with him some time ago. However, now he had a feeling that Li Zhongjiu could easily crush him. Could it be that the strength of humans was so abnormal after all? He didn't dare to imagine. However, based on the Sky Blaze Lion's experience, not all humans improved as horribly as Li Zhongjiu. Only Li Zhongjiu could have such a terrifying breakthrough. He wasn't human at all. The two meta beasts shrunk and transformed. The three of them didn't alarm the people of Wuxia city when they landed. In half a year, the flow of people in Wuxia city had obviously increased a lot. Although the supply of high-grade elixirs couldn't meet the demand, the market for low-grade elixirs was still very large. The Li family and the Fog Snow Alchemy sect had joined forces and made the elixirs famous. Wuxia city was the first place to purchase elixirs within 1,000 miles. Not only was there a guarantee in terms of quality, but there was also an absolute advantage in terms of quantity. In addition, many exclusive stores were opened in Wuxia city. This also caused one to have to come to Wuxia city if one wanted to buy something. Otherwise, one wouldn't be able to buy it. Even Yang Hongyu, who was considered as a disciple of the same sect as Li Zhongjiu, directly opened an origin weapon shop in Wuxia city and specially invited a third-grade origin weapon master to oversee it. Wuxia city's reputation had spread far and wide among the third-grade cities. Even some second-grade cities might not be comparable to Wuxia city. After all, the real strength of Wuxia city was Li Zhongjiu. If Li Zhongjiu was willing, he could directly turn Wuxia city into a first-grade city. However, it wasn't necessary. In that case, it would destroy the peace of Wuxia city. Wuxia city continued to prosper. It was a good thing for everyone. However, it was a big headache for the city lord, Yi Chao. It was all Li Zhongjiu's fault. He turned the peaceful Wuxia city into a mess. Now, there were so many troublesome people in the city. Many of them needed Li Zhongjiu's help to deal with. Even the imperial court was pressuring Yi Chao to pay close attention to the Li family's movements, as if they were afraid that the Li family would rebel. After all, with such a big threat here, it was normal for them to rebel. It was necessary to pay more attention. Chapter 1061. In front of the Li family's gate. When the Li family's guards saw Li Zhongjiu return, they were stunned for a moment and then kept rubbing their eyes. Damn, the young master is back. The young master is back. The two guards were simply in a state of extreme excitement. If it weren't for the fact that they were in public, the two of them would probably hug and dance together. I'm not dead. Li Zhongjiu couldn't help but say. Looking at these people's expressions, those who didn't know would think that they were talking about him coming back from the dead. Go in quickly. Master and Madam miss you very much. Li Zhongjiu nodded and then walked in. After walking around, he found that his father, Li Tianqing, was playing chess with the old master of the Gu family in the courtyard. Now that Li Tianqing had handed over most of the things, he basically didn't need to deal with these things himself. To be able to do this showed that the Li family had truly become powerful. At least they could operate independently. In each organization, it was also because of Li Tianqing's proper arrangements. Otherwise, how could it be so easy? Father. Li Zhongjiu walked straight in. Well, you're back. Li Tianqing looked back at Li Zhongjiu and then continued to ponder the chess game in front of him. TSK, this move is not easy to make. Hey, wait, did someone just call me father? Li Tianqing was immersed in his chess game and didn't even react until now. He suddenly reacted and turned around to see Li Zhongjiu. Ah, you stinky brat, you still know to come back. Li Tianqing saw that the person standing at the door was actually Li Zhongjiu. Although he was excited, as a man, he couldn't lose his sense of propriety and couldn't express it too much. It's good that you're back. Go and see your mother. Li Tianqing suddenly showed a serious expression, as if he was blaming Li Zhongjiu for not giving Li Zhongjiu a good look. Alright, I'll go see mother. Li Zhongjiu didn't bother exchanging pleasantries with Li Tianqing. There was no need for two men to exchange pleasantries. After greeting Gu Xuanwu, he ran to the kitchen. Chen Shi was also a child of Jianghu and had a heroic spirit, but recently, she had been too idle. Basically, she did not have much to do. Li Zhongjiu was also young and had not yet married. If he gave birth to a chubby little boy for them to take care of, naturally, they would not be so idle. Therefore, he went to the kitchen to cook in order to kill time. Moreover, Li Tianqing was only used to Chen Shi's appetite. Mother. Li Zhongjiu appeared at the kitchen door and couldn't help but shout out. He had already been standing at the door watching Chen Shi cut the vegetables for a long time. Zhongjiu. You. When did you come back? Chen Shi's body froze. When she raised her head, she saw that Li Zhongjiu had returned. Immediately, tears filled her eyes. She immediately put down the kitchen knife and walked in front of her son. She rubbed his head and pinched his face. You've lost weight. When she finished speaking, she also looked behind Li Zhongjiu. Why did you come back alone? Chen Shi's expression changed. She looked at Li Zhongjiu with a serious face. I can still come back half a person. Li Zhongjiu was also surprised. That Qi family's daughter, why didn't you bring her back and let mother take a look? You even hid this matter from your mother. If it wasn't for your big sister Li Yun telling me, we two old fellows still wouldn't know. Chen Shi seemed to be a little unhappy. Cough cough, mother, you are so young. How are you old? Don't talk nonsense. Chen Shi said to Li Zhongjiu with a serious face. Mother doesn't care. This year, you have to bring that girl over and let mother take a good look. Ah, that's right. I remember that I still have a lot of things to take care of. Mother will go find father first. After Li Zhongjiu finished speaking, he quickly left the kitchen. That night, the whole family had a happy meal together. Then, Li Zongjiu handed over the elixir pill that he had refined previously to Li Tianqing. He also told Li Tianqing how to consume the elixir pill. All right. Your father is not a fool. How can I not know how to consume the elixir pill? Li Tianqing said. Li Zongjiu was simply guiding him like a newbie. It's good that you know. Here is a bottle of essence blood. Refine a drop every month. After refining it, your physical body will be comparable to a Yuan monarch. What kind of essence blood is it? Is it so powerful? If his physical body alone could contend against a Yuan monarch, then the terrifying level of his blood essence was simply beyond the imagination of ordinary people. It must be very valuable. The essence blood of a supreme Yuan beast. Li Zongjiu said slowly. At first, Li Tianqing did not react. When he finally reacted, his hand trembled and the bottle in his hand almost fell to the ground. Oh my God, where did you get it from? Don't tell me you are really able to match a supreme being elite now? Li Tianqing could not help but ask. This was a big surprise for him. Yes. No one below the supreme being level is my match. If it's a supreme being, I can barely match a beginner supreme being. If it's a little stronger, I can only escape. Li Zongjiu thought carefully for a while and said. Upon hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Li Tianqing was unable to calm down. Li Tianqing was also unable to calm down for a long time. He never thought that his son could reach such a level today. This was far beyond his imagination. With such strength, he could easily crush any genius in the world. Therefore, even though Li Tianqing heard that there were so many geniuses in the outside world, he did not have the slightest bit of admiration. In this world, there was probably no one who was more talented than Li Zongjiu. Li Tianqing knew this too. The higher a person's level, the greater the danger they would encounter. Often, with such a level of danger, the slightest carelessness could lead to eternal damnation. There would not be a chance to start over again. The underworld is dangerous. You must be careful. The future of the Li family is important, and so is your life. Li Tianqing and his son looked up at the night sky and sighed in melancholy. Li Zongjiu did not reply. It was difficult for Li Tianqing to guide Li Zongjiu in other aspects, but as a father, he still had to maintain some dignity. Early the next morning, Li Zongjiu bid farewell to his parents. Although Madame Chen was extremely reluctant, she knew that Li Zongjiu was not a simple person in Royal City. There must be a lot of things tying him down. She only reminded him to eat on time. After leaving Wuxia City, Li Zongjiu took the airboat of Wuxia City. Although Wuxia City only had 5 airboats, after knowing that Li Zongjiu of Li Clan would come here in person, they directly dispatched 1 airboat to clear the way for Li Zongjiu. Chapter 1062. Li Zongjiu did not return directly to the Sacred Flame Imperial City, but instead went to the North Star City. Previously, because of the obstruction of the Hua family, Huaying and the Fan family. Therefore, Li Zongjiu also appeared and resolved the matter comprehensively. In the end, Li Zongjiu did not kill the people of the Fan family. After teaching them a little lesson, he let them go directly. Now that Qi Yanran had set up a stronghold in the North Star City and began to lead the mining here, this was definitely a big merit and matter for the Qi family. Many people wanted to snatch this opportunity. Qi Shaohun arranged this matter to Qi Yanran, obviously intending to start training her. However, in the North Star City, there was also the Fan family here. They did not dare to do anything openly, but they wanted to make trouble behind the scenes, so naturally, they also needed a master to keep watch. Soon, the Fan family would know how boring it was to do this. Nevertheless, the daily survey needed to be carried out, the management of the personnel, the preparation of various equipment, and the procurement of it. It was not so simple to mine a vein. If there was a little bit of a business trip, it may cause a series of chain reactions, and the consequences would be unimaginable. Although Qi Yanran was not good at the allocation of personnel, she knew how to put these people in important positions. She arranged things clearly and decisively, absolutely without the slightest hesitation. It was clear whether it was a reward or a punishment. Li Zongjiu came to the stronghold of the Qi family and saw that Qi Yanran seemed to be having a headache about something. At this moment, Qi Yanran was also having a meeting with some members of the Qi family. So what if it's the 7 mountain strongholds? Are they still opponents of my Qi family? Qi Yanran frowned. Today, someone came to report that they had received news that the 7 mountain strongholds near the Xianhuang mountain also intended to take a share of the profits from the Xianhuang mineral vein. The strength of the 7 mountain strongholds was known from the reason why the Green Dragon army was stationed here. Although there were suspicions of using these 7 mountain strongholds to train soldiers, in reality, it also showed that the latter's strength was not ordinary. Otherwise, they would not have become the training targets of the Green Dragon army. As of now, the 7 great mountain strongholds had already announced that if they wanted to open up the transportation route for the mines, they would need to send 10 carts of gold, silver and jewels to each mountain stronghold. This was a bottomless pit. A total of 10 carts. How much stuff would they be able to carry? It was hard to say whether the carts would be bigger or smaller. Moreover, these people were all bandits. They were insatiably greedy. The first time, they took 10 carts. The second time, who knew how many carts they would take? Qi Yanran's idea was to fight and take down the 7 strongholds one by one. Some people had to be fought. The only way was to beat them until they were scared. They wouldn't dare to do anything in front of the Qi clan. However, the elders of the Qi clan said that if they defeated 7, there might be another 7. Moreover, there were more than 10,000 people in the 7 strongholds. Did they want to kill all of them? If this round of fighting, it was unknown how many people would be killed or injured, how much manpower and financial resources would be consumed, and it would even make things more serious. Moreover, the Qi clan was a business family, not a military family. If they did business by fighting and killing, there would never be peace. They did it for money. Spend money to buy a safe way back. However, Qi Yanran, who was in charge, disagreed. Although what he said was reasonable, in Qi Yanran's opinion, these people couldn't be settled by just giving some money. Furthermore, when the Azure Dragon army had appeared, the 7 strongholds had not joined forces. However, today, when the Qi clan had just landed and everything was ready, they had already made such a move. If there was no problem with it, then it would be strange. Qi Yanran absolutely did not believe that there must be someone behind this. Everyone argued endlessly. Those who supported Qi Yanran were some younger people, but those who advocated peace were the older generation. They were older and had experienced more things. Although Qi Yanran was the highest person in charge, this matter was of great importance. It couldn't be decided by one person. In this case, we can only report this matter to the master and let him make a decision. An elder said. Yanran, I'm not targeting you. If this matter is a little wrong, the consequences will be very serious. We have no choice but to do this. If the situation here couldn't be solved and they used the power of the Qi clan, it obviously showed that the manager here was not capable. Qi Yanran was naturally helpless. Since they had said so, she could only do as they said. It's just the 7 great strongholds, and you're scared to this extent. Just when this matter was about to be settled, a young voice sounded at the door. Although the voice was young, it was domineering. When she heard this voice, Qi Yanran's eyes suddenly glowed. When she heard the first word, she already knew who it was. Li Zongjiu. Seeing Li Zongjiu appear in front of her, Qi Yanran was surprised and pleasantly surprised. Whenever she needed Li Zongjiu would always appear by her side. Qi Yanran alone could defeat the 7 strongholds, but the elders would not allow her to do so. Because Qi Yanran couldn't appear in the mine all the time. Since the 7 strongholds dared to do so, they must be prepared. Today, let alone 7 strongholds, even if there are 70 or 700 strongholds, let him come and tell me. Li Zongjiu appeared in front of everyone. Although it was impolite to barge into the Qi family's meeting room and interrupt their meeting, no one felt displeased. Instead, they were looking forward to Li Zongjiu's arrival. The elders of the Qi clan stood up and saluted Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu's identity was not ordinary. The honorary elder of the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion. The state protector. Of course, these people of the Qi clan were willing to get closer to Li Zongjiu, so they called Li Zongjiu elder as before. If they called him the imperial tutor, it would be too much. Only those in the officialdom and the imperial court would call him that. Sit down. I passed by and came to see Yanran. Li Zongjiu said and looked at Qi Yanran. Being stared at by Li Zongjiu, she naturally felt shy and couldn't help but lower her head. At this moment, she felt that she was a person who was completely protected. Li Zongjiu's doting made Qi Yanran completely immersed in it. Li Zongjiu also naturally sat beside Qi Yanran. Someone took the initiative to bring a chair over. I listened for a while outside the door just now. I also heard the words of the elders. It makes sense. Harmony breeds wealth. But if even these 7 little pigs dare to touch the Qi clan of Monarch City, think about it. If these people dare to blackmail the Qi clan, do they deserve it? Li Zongjiu's words hit the nail on the head. Everyone was moved by his words. Li Zongjiu also knocked on the table. Which stronghold is the leader? Tonight, we'll pay them a visit. There are 7 of them. We'll kill one to warn the others. Chapter 1063. What Elder Li said is right. The elders who had opposed the idea before also agreed. Sure enough, the same words had a different effect when spoken by someone else. Qi Yanran also breathed a sigh of relief. She had been troubled by this matter for several days. Now that Li Zongjiu had appeared, the matter was settled with a few words. Qi Yanran also admired Li Zongjiu's courage. Of course, Li Zongjiu's prestige today was also because of the strength he had shown. Many of his achievements had also shown Li Zongjiu's strength. He was indeed qualified to say such words. Most importantly, how many of the people below dared to refute Li Zongjiu's words? That night, Qi Yanran directly gathered the people. Although they did not have to fight, the lineup had to be ensured. About 20 people were organized. Although it was not many, each of them was a master. The 7 strongholds are equal in strength, and their territories are clearly divided, so they coexist peacefully with each other. Now that they have joined forces, the 7 strongholds have covered the entire area of Mount Xianhuang. As long as we appear, we will definitely be exposed. So what if we are exposed? Since we are equal in strength, let's go to the nearest stronghold first. Where is it? Li Zongjiu asked. The Dibao stronghold is 5 miles east of the mountain ridge. Let's go. Everyone's mighty aura rushed toward the Dibao stronghold. Among the 7 strongholds, the Dibao stronghold was not the strongest, but its strength was about the middle to lower level. For the time being, it ranked 5th. The people in the stronghold received the news that Li Zongjiu and the others were heading toward the stronghold. Looking at their posture, it was obvious that they were not here to deliver money, so the sentries quickly passed the news. They were directly sent to the chief of the Dibao stronghold, Zhang Tianba. Zhang Tianba was holding a big pig trotter in his left hand and a jug of wine in his right. When he heard that the Qi family dared to come up the mountain, he was afraid that they would die. He was simply courting death. Since he wanted to fight head-on, then he would give it a try and see who was stronger. How many of them are there? Zhang Tianba asked. 26 or 7. TSK, I thought it would be more than 200. We have 888 brothers. Don't tell me we can't cripple them. Zhang Tianba spat out the pig bone in his mouth. Then, he stood up and ordered his men to push the heavy weapon out. Set up the mountain-blasting cannons and soul-piercing crossbows. Let's see how many attacks these people can withstand. Zhang Tianba ordered. The outer perimeter of this Dibao stronghold was also built with some hard wood. It looked very fragile, but in fact, these wood were all over 100 years old. Impervious to fire and water. The saber could not break it. It had a very good resistance to grass. More than a dozen bright red cannons were already prepared. These cannons were personally purchased by Zhang Tianba, and it was because of these cannons that Zhang Tianba was able to prepare. This deterred the rest of the people from the other strongholds. Based on the power of these cannons, if they hit their target, a Yuan King elite would probably be crippled. Even if the cannons exploded beside them, it would be enough to overturn a person. Therefore, Zhang Tianba was very confident in these cannons in his hands. Chief, they have already entered the area after the bombardment. Blow them up. Blow them up. Zhang Tianba directly ordered. These people from the chaotic mountain stronghold were quite fierce. Even if they were facing the Qi family, none of them were cowards. They directly started fighting from the beginning. Boom! 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 More than a dozen mountain-blasting cannons were fired at the same time. In an instant, a wave of dust was set off, and a large amount of dust was sent flying. The area covered by the cannons was immediately crushed by a tyrannical and terrifying force. Large pits appeared on the ground one after another. This series of cannons did not stop. The pitch-black cannons swept out directly. They rushed downwards. Whoosh! Boom! The violent tremors made the people from the Dibao stronghold excited. Ha! Even if these people are not dead, they must be seriously injured. Zhang Tianba and the others immediately burst into laughter. They were very satisfied with the power of their mountain-blasting cannons. Whoosh! Zhang Tianba had already ordered the cannons to stop firing. After all, this cannons would cost tens of thousands of gold coins. How could he not feel distressed? What's that? The surroundings seemed to be a little quiet. Suddenly, an intense sound was heard. Moreover, there were several small black dots in the sky that were rapidly approaching. Before Zhang Tianba and the others could see clearly what it was that had fallen from the sky, a loud sound was heard. Then, the gate of the stronghold was directly blown to pieces. A ray of white light descended from the sky like a long whip. It directly destroyed the stronghold in front of them. Zhang Tianba was seriously injured by the explosion. He spat out a mouthful of blood. What's going on? Don't tell me they also have mountain-blasting cannons. However, no one answered Zhang Tianba's question. They did not even see clearly who the other party was. The only thing that could be seen was the flickering white light in front of them. It almost blinded Zhang Tianba's eyes. He only had time to shout to the front. Those who wanted to escape simply couldn't find any direction in this terrifying and chaotic battle. There was no chance for them to escape. In the end, all of them were buried in this sea of fire. Li Zongjiu and the others were too lazy to go up the mountain. The Dibao stronghold was just the beginning. This night was destined to be extraordinary. On Mount Xianhuang, there were continuous explosions that were getting closer and closer. Whirlwind Stronghold, one of the 7 strongholds. The stronghold master was a pinnacle Yuan monarch elite. However, he had a unique treasure that could help him break through the limit and temporarily possess the strength of a Yuan monarch. Therefore, the strength of Whirlwind Stronghold was among the 7 strongholds. It was ranked first. Of course, although it was ranked higher, it was not that easy to defeat the other strongholds. However, tonight was destined to be an eventful night for Whirlwind Stronghold. In fact, no one dared to sleep for the entire night. All of them were focused on the situation in the distance. The continuous explosions woke them up. It seemed to be getting closer and closer. Stronghold. Stronghold master. They have already gone up the mountain. As soon as he said this, the stronghold master of Whirlwind Stronghold was frightened. The 2 walnuts in his hands were immediately crushed. He was obviously extremely nervous. In one night, all 6 strongholds were destroyed. Chapter 1064. Before they came. The Qi family didn't even give them a heads up. On this night, 6 of the 7 strongholds didn't leave a single person alive. They didn't leave a single person alive. That was their style of doing things. The head of Whirlwind Stronghold was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. Quickly hang up the white flag. The main reason was that the thousands of people in the stronghold were basically in a state of fear. They didn't dare to face what was going to happen next. The remaining 6 strongholds had all been wiped out. Not a single one of them had managed to escape. If this group of people came to them, they would probably end up the same way. If they wanted to fight head-on, it was very likely that they would all die in the end. However, if they wanted to leave the stronghold and start anew, they would probably be killed by the head of the stronghold. Fortunately, the head of the stronghold was quite strong. He didn't want to fight head-on with these people. Instead, he chose to surrender. If it was a normal situation, surrendering was such a shameful thing. Moreover, as a bandit, it was even more unbearable for them to accept such a humiliating thing. However, the situation this time was special. It was pardonable. The difference in strength between the 2 sides was really too big. After Li Zongjiu and the others went up the mountain, they found that the people of Whirlwind Stronghold had directly opened the gate and hung a white flag high up. They actually surrendered. When the experts of the Qi family saw this scene, they couldn't help but laugh. They thought that these bandits were really tough to deal with. In just one night, they had actually surrendered. Nonsense. The person who came was Li Zongjiu. What kind of methods did Li Zongjiu have? Anyone who was in the Jianghu would ask around. When Li Zongjiu made a move, he never showed mercy. He dared to kill anyone. If you dared to stand in front of him, you would be chopped to death. Even if you died, no one would avenge you. Otherwise, the White Deer Mansion behind Li Zongjiu would never let you go. No matter where you escaped to, they would easily dig you out. Immediately, everyone entered the Whirlwind Stockade. Within the Whirlwind Stockade, everyone had already walked out. Furthermore, no one was carrying any weapons. Instead, they were waving something similar to a confetti in their hands. Their faces were brimming with an extremely welcoming expression as they welcomed Li Zongjiu. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, sirs, to our stronghold for guidance. I am Su Yud, the chief of this stronghold. Su Yud said sincerely and respectfully. In front of these big shots, he had no choice but to lower his head. Facing the terrifying strength of these people, Su Yud's heart was still very weak. Although directly letting these people in was like inviting wolves into the house, and even at the moment when they were about to be reduced to fish on the chopping board, this was a last resort. Otherwise, they would directly become grilled fish in a while. To kill or not to kill? Li Zongjiu asked Qi Yanran. Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Su Yud was shocked. Even if they really had no power to resist, this was a matter of life and death. Couldn't he be a little more serious? Li Zongjiu felt as if he was asking if this thing tasted good. Before Qi Yanran could answer, Su Yud immediately knelt down with a plop. Sirs, madam, I have elders and children to take care of. I should not have listened to those bastards. Sirs, please spare my life. Sirs, please spare my life. We were also forced to become bandits. Now that Su Yud was already a Yuan King elite, he actually disregarded his status and directly knelt in front of Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yanran. He prayed that Qi Yanran and Li Zhongjiu would let him go. If Li Zhongjiu and the others were to take action, the entire stronghold would suffer. Faced with such a situation, Suyud did not hesitate to kneel down. At the very least, he had to save the lives of the people in this stronghold. After all, these people followed Suyud. Li Zhongjiu looked at Qi Yanran. Obviously, he wanted to let Qi Yanran handle this matter. After all, the people behind them were from the Qi family. If Qi Yanran wanted to establish her authority, she would have to take action personally and solve this matter. Li Zhongjiu was just here to accompany Qi Yanran for a while and to support her. You are the chief of Whirlwind Stronghold? Qi Yanran looked at Suyud and asked indifferently. Yes, I am. How many people are there in your stronghold? Qi Yanran asked. Although Suyud did not know why Qi Yanran asked this question, he still answered honestly. Madam, there are a total of 1243 people in the stronghold. Including me, there are 1,244 people. With your manpower, will it be difficult to open up a transportation mountain road for the Qi family? Qi Yanran asked. Transportation mountain road. Suyud immediately understood Qi Yanran's meaning. She wanted to let Suyud handle the arrangements for the transportation of the mysterious yellow Oregon. That was, if other people came to rob them. Suyud was about to rush forward. He wanted to protect and escort the transportation of the ore. No problem, of course not. We brothers have occupied the mysterious Yellow Mountain for decades. It is naturally easy to open up a road. We can also guarantee the safety of your ore transportation. After all, Suyud said halfway and felt a little embarrassed. After all, the other 6 strongholds are all dead. Originally, it could be said that the 7 great mountain strongholds were eyeing each other covetously. They were all on guard against each other. After all, there was not much difference in their strength. If they could devour one of them, it would be equivalent to strengthening their own strength. It would be much easier to swallow the others. However, no one had such an opportunity. Now, among the 7 strongholds, only Whirlwind Stronghold still existed. Naturally, Whirlwind Stronghold was the most powerful one. As for the other strongholds hidden deep in the mountains and forests, they were no match for Whirlwind Stronghold. In the future, you will be in charge of the Qi family's mining road. The territories of the previous 6 strongholds will be handed over to you. When the Qi family's mining team withdraws from here, there will naturally be peace. After that, you can do whatever you want. If you dare to touch the Qi family or have any thoughts about us, I will destroy your entire stronghold. Although Qi Yanran's words were not harsh and her tone was extremely light, when people heard it, they could not help but feel a little cold. Suyud understood that Qi Yanran was giving him a chance. Immediately, Suyud waved his hand. He summoned all the core members of Whirlwind Stronghold and directly knelt in front of Qi Yanran. Madam, please rest assured. As long as I, Suyud, am here, no one will be allowed to touch the Qi family's mining vein. Everyone in Whirlwind Stronghold will do their best to protect the Qi family's mining vein. If anyone dares to touch it, I will fight with him. At the end of his speech, Suyud revealed a trace of viciousness. He was extremely grateful for Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yanran's kindness of not killing him. In fact, it was not him who had proposed the alliance of the 7 strongholds. However, such a good thing was in front of him, so he might as well make a fortune. After all, many people would only keep the peace and pay a little protection fee. At least, they would not have to be on guard all the time in the future. Perhaps it would cause more losses. However, Li Zhongjiu did not have such losses. You can be destroyed in a matter of minutes. No one had expected that the state protector, Li Zhongjiu, would personally come to solve this matter. If Suyud had known that Li Zhongjiu was also involved, he would not have dared to do so even if he was given 100 guts. Before dark tonight, bring your men to the city and find me. I will arrange something for you to do. In addition, you can go and take care of the other 6 strongholds. The meaning of taking care of them was naturally to dig out the treasures of the 6 strongholds. However, in fact, the people of these strongholds were not rich at all. If they were rich, why would they be bandits? They would have bought a piece of land, built a house and become a landlord. Moreover, Su Yud and the others were asked to clean up the battlefield. The wreckage of the 6 strongholds was also a kind of deterrence for them. When they cleaned up, they would know how terrifying Li Zongjio and the others were. No matter what, at least the people of Whirlwind Stronghold had kept their lives. This was a very rare thing. It made them feel relieved. However, they would be in a state of semi-slavery. They would not be as free as before. At least, they had to help the Qi family and take care of the mining vein. If something happened, they believed that the Qi family would not let Whirlwind Stronghold go. Therefore, they had to go all out. Their lives could be considered to have been saved. A night of running around naturally consumed a lot of energy. However, at least this matter was solved, and it was solved very beautifully. At the dinner table, Li Zongjio also ate with the people of the Qi family. Several elders had begun to change their view of Qi Yanran. At least, they thought that Qi Yanran was not simply reckless. However, Qi Yanran's style of doing things was somewhat similar to Li Zongjio's. In the future, they would have to remind Qi Yanran not to become another Li Zongjio. Li Zongjio was a lone hero. He had achieved what he had today with his own strength. However, Qi Yanran could not do the same. If she did so, it would bring disaster to the Qi family. After dinner, the people of the Qi family left one after another, leaving the young man and woman alone. Qi Yanran threw herself into Li Zongjio's arms. Li Zongjio's hand slid down Qi Yanran's soft hair. "I've prepared a small gift for you." Li Zongjio smiled and said in a low voice. "I don't need any gift. I just need you." Qi Yanran seemed to enjoy lying in Li Zongjio's arms very much. What she felt was stability and strength. Chapter 1065. Qi Yanran said. Li Zongjio couldn't help but smile. Naturally, he was extremely touched. No one had ever said such words to him before. This is good stuff. Li Zongjio took out a huge blue egg. Anyone who saw this egg wouldn't think that it was a bird's egg. When Qi Yanran saw this egg, she was slightly stunned. "What is this?" Qi Yanran asked curiously. Although she knew that this was an egg, the energy contained in this egg was extremely powerful. Even if it was born now, its strength would definitely be comparable to an Origin Emperor expert. "Mountain seagull's egg," Li Zongjio said. He placed the mountain seagull's egg in Qi Yanran's hand. "What, mountain seagull? Isn't that the legendary supreme soul beast?" Qi Yanran was stunned. Previously, she didn't hear where Li Zongjio went. But suddenly, he took out a supreme soul beast's egg. How could Qi Yanran not be shocked? Moreover, she had heard of the mountain seagull before. Legend had it that the mountain seagull had great power. It could flip mountains and fill seas with a light flap of its wings. Its attributes were also the combination of water and earth attributes. Dual attribute soul beasts were rare. Therefore, a mountain seagull at its peak would also have the strength of a supreme soul beast. In terms of the combination of attributes, it couldn't be more suitable for Qi Yanran. How do I hatch this? But this is a supreme soul beast. How can you give it to me? Qi Yanran still couldn't believe it. At the same time, she wanted to return the egg to Li Zongjio. But Li Zongjio grabbed her hand. "So what if it's a supreme soul beast? Sooner or later, I'll catch a dragon for you," Li Zongjio said. He wasn't bragging. In his previous life, Li Zhongjie killed the 4 supreme soul beasts of the dragon clan. But this time, he brought back the supreme soul beasts. But on the Dragon Island, there must still be 4 supreme soul beasts of the dragon clan. At that time, if he were to fight with these supreme soul beasts again, he didn't know what would happen. If the dragon soul continued to cultivate, it would definitely be summoned by the Dragon Island, and the Dragon Island would also sense the existence of the dragon soul. They would directly send experts to bring back this wisp of dragon soul, dead or alive. The Dragon Island formed its own continent and regarded itself as a better place for the Xingwu continent. But what happened in the end? Wasn't it destroyed by Li Zhongjie alone? Therefore, one shouldn't be too arrogant. Otherwise, it was hard to say what would happen. Braggart. Even if Qi Yanran believed in Li Zhongjie, she did not believe this sentence. She had never heard of anyone who could take a dragon as a mount or pet. Therefore, Qi Yanran was also very clear about this matter. Although Li Zhongjie might be able to do what the predecessors couldn't do, Qi Yanran still believed that Li Zhongjie could do anything. He just didn't want Li Zhongjie to risk his life for such a sentence. It didn't matter if there was a dragon or not. Drip a drop of blood essence on it. Li Zhongjie naturally didn't want to talk about these things with Qi Yanran now. Just now, Li Zhongjie suddenly had a whim. If he could subdue the 4 supreme soul beasts of the dragon clan, would he be able to go to the sacred martial realm? He could directly break through this barren land and kill his way into the sacred martial realm. At the very least, he had to resist the power of the sacred martial realm. With the strength of the sacred martial realm, they would definitely discover Li Zhongjie's existence in the future. With such an unusual existence here, who knew what kind of things would happen? Qi Yanran carefully dripped a drop of blood essence on the mountain puffin egg. Immediately, the blood essence slowly merged into the eggshell. At first, there was a moment of silence. Then, a terrifying suction force erupted from the egg, as if it was going to suck Qi Yanran in. However, this force only wrapped Qi Yanran in it. Use your mental strength to communicate with her. Li Zhongjie's voice sounded. Qi Yanran didn't panic at all. With Li Zhongjie by her side, she didn't need to worry about anything. Li Zhongjie also didn't disturb the communication of this force. After all, it was the bloodline of a supreme soul beast. It would even inherit some of its previous memories. The magic of a supreme soul beast was unimaginable to ordinary people. For the entire afternoon, Qi Yanran was also communicating with the mountain puffin. Finally, when Li Zhongjie calculated the time, she succeeded. A clear and loud cry rang out. Then, a small blue bird with a long tail was seen standing on Qi Yanran's shoulder, gently combing its feathers. Congratulations, Li Zhongjie said with a smile. Qi Yanran's eyes had a trace of uncontrollable fatigue, but more than that, she was excited. A supreme soul beast. She actually had a supreme soul beast as a pet. Could it be that she was dreaming? It took Qi Yanran a long time to wake up. It's real. Qi Yanran tilted her head and looked at the cute little sparrow on her shoulder. She couldn't help but touch the latter's head and scratch its neck. A newborn mountain puffin was only the size of an ordinary sparrow. The stronger the soul beast, the more it knew how to protect itself from a young age. Since it transformed into such a small sparrow, naturally, there wouldn't be any powerful soul beasts targeting it. Relatively speaking, it would be safer. Even if there were enemies, they would be ordinary soul beasts. This little thing is quite cute. Li Zhongjie stretched out his hand to touch the mountain puffin's head. After all, Li Zhongjie had never seen such a miniature mountain puffin. However, the mountain puffin's temper wasn't small. It directly pecked at Li Zhongjie's hand as fast as lightning. Unfortunately, this peck didn't hit Li Zhongjie. Li Zhongjie grabbed the mountain puffin and held it in his hand very easily. Little thing, you still want to peck me? Li Zongjiu's other hand kept stroking the mountain puffin's head back and forth, as if he wanted to show the mountain puffin his power. Chirp 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 chirp. The mountain puffin suddenly squeaked like a sparrow, asking for help from its owner. It's just a newborn baby. What are you doing? Quickly take it back. Qi Yanran hurriedly said, obviously very protective of the mountain puffin. Even Li Zongjiu couldn't bully it. Li Zongjiu could only let go of the mountain puffin in his hand. The moment he let go, the mountain puffin pecked at Li Zongjiu's hand. It was revenge. If an ordinary Yuan King cultivator's hand was pecked like this, it would probably be crippled directly. However, when it pecked at Li Zongjiu's body, it was the mountain puffin who asked for it. Its entire mouth was directly numbed. Now, it was curled up in Qi Yanran's arms and acting spoiled. Huh, this little thing is so intelligent. Li Zongjiu laughed when he saw this. However, judging from its performance just now, the mountain puffin's strength was not bad. Now, just based on its speed and destructive power, it wouldn't be a problem to kill a third-grade Yuan King. Do you want this? Li Zongjiu took out a pill in his hand. A sixth-grade pill. It was even very precious in the elixir market. Any sixth-grade pill was enough to open an auction. The mountain puffin's eyes lit up when it saw the pill, but it didn't dare approach Li Zongjiu rashly. After all, Li Zongjiu gave it a sense of threat, which made the mountain puffin very vigilant. It didn't want to get close to such a threatening person. However, the pill in Li Zongjiu's hand had a fatal attraction to it. Although it was nestled in Qi Yanran's arms, its eyes were fixed on it. Come up here obediently. Li Zongjiu opened his palm. The mountain puffin hesitated for a moment before looking up at Qi Yanran. Through its connection with Qi Yanran, the mountain puffin could naturally feel that the person before it would not hurt it. However, due to its fear of power, the mountain puffin instinctively feared the latter. Go. Qi Yanran said gently. Finally, the mountain puffin flapped its wings and gently landed on Li Zongjiu's palm. Huh, good girl. Li Zongjiu threw the pill to the mountain puffin. The mountain puffin directly flew up and swallowed the pill in one gulp. Then, it returned to Qi Yanran's side. It began to digest the pill. At this moment it was in the process of constantly breaking through and absorbing. Therefore, no matter how many pills there were, as long as it could digest them, there would be no problem. I'll leave this little thing to you. When it reaches adulthood, its strength should be considerable. As for reaching the sovereign level, it will probably take some time. I'll refine some pills as soon as possible. Li Zongjiu said. Don't forget, I'm also an alchemist. Qi Yanran was a little unconvinced. Although she didn't have the same ability as Li Zongjiu, Qi Yanran was at least a genius alchemist. In the Three Dynasties Alchemy Assembly, she didn't lack in showing herself. The strength she showed wasn't simple. Yes, yes, yes. What should we call this little guy? How about calling it Little Mountain? Li Zongjiu suggested. Qi Yanran didn't say anything and directly rolled her eyes at him. Well, I think we should call it, Boom. Suddenly, there was a continuous roar from outside. The two people in the room looked at each other. Obviously, they knew what that sound was. Immediately, Li Zongjiu and Qi Yanran both walked out. An eagle battleship was hovering above the road. It was even level with the surrounding buildings. When ordinary people saw the eagle battleship for the first time, they were immediately shocked. This huge lump of metal was actually able to fly in the sky. It was simply unbelievable. It was an eye-opener. Zongjiu, not good, something happened. Li Yun stood on the eagle battleship and said. Immediately, Li Zongjiu's face sank. Chapter 1066. Li Yun finally found Li Zongjiu. After receiving the news, she immediately rushed over. What's wrong? Li Zongjiu asked. The King of Fire is in Yongzhou. He's being chased by a mysterious force. According to the information we've gathered, the King of Fire seems to have been captured by these people. Yongzhou. Ghost Realm, Yongzhou. It was rumored that this was a place where ghosts and spirits cultivated. It was also a place where yin qi was extremely dense. Ordinary people would not come to such a place. To those who cultivated in elemental arts with special attributes, such a place was a natural holy ground for cultivation. Everyone wanted to seek opportunities here. These people were also commonly known as ghost cultivators. People who cultivated these elemental formulas were extremely eccentric. Therefore, they had to be careful when moving around in Yongzhou. The more eccentric a person was, the stranger their behavior was. It was very normal for the King of Fire to go to Yongzhou to train. However, he was being chased by a mysterious force. Li Zongjiu immediately thought of Wu Tian, who had escaped unscathed from the Ghost King Palace. In his previous life, although Wu Shan was evenly matched with him, if Li Zongjiu went all out and disregarded everything, it was not impossible for him to take Wu Tian's life. However, in this life, he had not recovered the cultivation of his previous life. If he wanted to fight with Wu Tian, it was obvious that he was still far from it. While Li Zongjiu was improving, Wu Tian was also improving. Moreover, Wu Tian's strength was almost an entire realm higher than Li Zongjiu's. This trip might be extremely dangerous. I'll go with you. Qi Yanran said. Seeing the seriousness in Li Zongjiu's expression, she immediately said. However, Li Zongjiu waved his hand. No, you stay here. This time, I will go all out. If you come with me, I will be distracted. Don't worry, if I want to leave, no one in this world can stop me. Li Zongjiu said. If they were to fight head-on, it would naturally be extremely difficult to defeat the other party. However, Li Zongjiu was still extremely confident in escaping. In reality, the reason why he had cultivated such a powerful physical body was not to fight. More importantly, it was used to save his own life. In Li Zongjiu's previous life, he had suffered many defeats during his struggle. He had also learned many life-saving skills. To forge iron, one needed to be strong. Therefore, as long as one's own defense was high, the chances of survival were still very high. Qi Yanran naturally wanted to follow them, but Li Zongjiu's attitude was very clear, and Qi Yanran herself knew that her strength was indeed not enough. Train this little guy well. It will be a useful assistant in the future. Li Zongjiu said. I will. Qi Yanran nodded heavily. Li Zongjiu turned and boarded Li Yun's Eagle battleship. Boom! The Eagle battleship suddenly disappeared in the sky. Li Zongjiu stood on the deck and stared at Qi Yanran below until she could no longer be seen. The King of Fire was a very important friend to Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu would never allow any accidents to happen to his friend. Wu Tian, you'd better be sensible. Otherwise, I will make you regret it. If Wu Tian and King of Fire had the same source of power, Wu Tian would definitely refine the King of Fire. Along the way, Li Zongjiu was also condensing his own murderous aura. The Eagle battleship was in the sky, and its speed was extremely crazy and terrifying. Boom! The Eagle battleship's speed was like a rainbow. Even at full speed, the Eagle battleship could not be seen by the naked eye. One could only see the traces of the Eagle battleship passing by. The clouds in the sky seemed to be split apart by an invisible force. The Eagle battleship entered the territory of Yongzhou. Even in Yongzhou, one could see that the surrounding brightness had decreased a lot. The sky was mostly covered with dark clouds. There were very few colors. There was a trace of yin qi in the air. Qiong City. Qiong City of Yongzhou, one of the famous ghost cities. It was rumored that the 800,000 rebels in Yongzhou were killed in order to fight against the royal family of the Shengyan dynasty. Everyone was left here. After the defeat, none of the 800,000 rebels survived. All of them were beheaded. Their heads were placed in a pit, and their bodies were placed in another pit. In the end, a city was built on the mass grave of the 800,000 corpses. At first it was just a small town, but later it gradually expanded into a city. The qi here was extremely dense. If a weak person stayed here for a long time, their illness would worsen. Even a person with vigorous qi and blood would gradually lose their qi and blood here. In the end, they would get sick, and all kinds of things would happen. Ordinary people did not dare to stay here for long. They would rather suffer a little than spend the night in the city. It was rumored that every night until late at night, they could hear the melodious cries and shouts coming from below the city walls. Li Zongjiu and the rest landed in the city. Li Zongjiu also sent the rest of the people back. He did not need the Eagle battleship to help attack. However, Li Yun insisted on staying. The King of Fire was her master. How could Li Yun not help her master when he was in trouble? Even if her life was in danger, she would still follow. Li Zongjiu saw Li Yun's respect for her master, so of course he would help her. This trip is not that simple. You have to be careful and stay by my side. Li Zongjiu reminded her. Then, he thought of something and said, also, don't talk too much. If you don't have to, don't talk. Li Zongjiu was most afraid of Li Yun's jinx mouth. It was so accurate that it was even more accurate than the spring primrose. Li Yun also pouted. This guy was too much. He actually said that about her. However, Li Yun would sometimes think about it carefully. It seemed that she would often say some things and it would come true. Hence, she nodded, indicating that she would not speak carelessly. In order to fit the environment here. The two of them also changed into black robes. Li Yun also covered her slender legs. There is a branch of our White Deer 1000 machine here. It's over here. Li Yun held a map in her hand. Li Zongjiu did not expect that the White Deer mansion had already developed its influence here. It was really unexpected. Of course, such a layout was not thought of by Li Zongjiu. It was arranged by Xiao Zhao. Not to mention the entire Xingyan dynasty, but at least 80% of the areas had already been set up. The establishment of an intelligence center was very tiring. Moreover, it was also very expensive. Just the daily expenditure on communications alone was an astronomical figure. Just the operating income of these casinos was naturally not enough to maintain such a huge structure. Xiao Zhao's goal was to turn the 1000-machine workshop into an existence like the Rain Pavilion. Chapter 1067. In a coffin shop in Cheong City. When Li Zongjiu and Yi Shiwen walked into the coffin shop, the owner of the coffin shop was in disbelief. Li Zongjiu and Li Yun were legendary figures to him. Now that they had appeared in front of him, he felt overwhelmed and quickly welcomed them. At the same time, he knew the purpose of their visit and took out the information that he had prepared beforehand. My lord, there are 3 netherworld regions in Cheong City. These people often like to capture people, plunder their souls, and refine their flesh and blood. Even the dynasty can't do anything to them. They are also quite ferocious locally. A few days ago, I was paying attention to the movements in the city. Suddenly, many experts appeared and moved into the 3 netherworld regions at the same time. I asked them to look for a woman. She was the person that the higher-ups ordered us to pay close attention to. I didn't expect to find her here. The 3 netherworld regions and many mysterious experts attacked at the same time. They injured the woman in red and took her away. As for where they took her, we can't follow them with our strength. The coffin shop owner said. The information in his hand was the specific location of the 3 netherworld regions and the deployment of their forces. In other words, this matter has something to do with the 3 netherworld regions. Li Zongjiu flipped through the information in his hand. The strongest among the 3 netherworld regions was only at the Yuan King level. How could they capture the King of Fire with such strength? Therefore, the problem must lie with the mysterious experts who came later. However, to find out the whole story, they had to start with the 3 netherworld regions. Let's go. Li Zongjiu and Li Yun did not wait. After leaving a deposit of 100,000 purple yuan in the coffin shop, they walked in the direction of the city. Obviously, the 100,000 purple yuan was a reward from Li Zongjiu. The coffin shop owner did not expect to be able to meet Li Zongjiu and receive a reward that he would not have to worry about for the rest of his life. He was really excited. According to the address, Li Zongjiu found one of the rooms first. The so-called Netherworld faction was nothing more than a group of people who cultivated this kind of dark elemental energy. The leader was known as the Tiger Ghost. The Tiger Fiend Ghost had a guillotine in his hand. It was said that he was an executioner in the past. He accidentally found a cultivation elemental formula in the guillotine that had been passed down from his ancestors. From then on, he was out of control. Every time he killed someone, he would definitely behead them. Then, he would absorb the other party's essence into his body. Through this method, one could cultivate. The Baleful Tiger Nether Office, which had been established by the Baleful Tiger Ghost, was considered one of the top 3 forces in Jade City. The number of little ghosts under his command had already exceeded 300. Today was the day that the Baleful Tiger Ghost would preach Tao in the 1,000 Ghost Square of Jade City. If someone had the same Tao as him, then they would naturally become the Baleful Tiger Ghost's disciple and become the Baleful Tiger Ghost's disciple. Naturally, they would become the Baleful Tiger Ghost's disciple. At this moment, the square was already filled with people. Some people wanted to sign up, but they did not meet the entry requirements of the Baleful Tiger Ghost. However, there were still many people who were interested in the Baleful Tiger Ghost's preaching. At least after listening to it, it would be of great help to their cultivation. Therefore, every time there was a free preaching like this, many people would come to listen to it. Behind the Baleful Tiger Ghost stood 4 loyal protectors. In such a public occasion, of course, they had to be prepared. It was not that they were timid. After all, no one could be certain about this matter. As the saying goes, it's better to be prepared. The lecture proceeded very smoothly. The Tiger Evil Ghost felt extremely satisfied from the intoxicated expressions of the people below. At the same time, it was also looking for some good people. After recruiting them, it would be able to properly train them. Just as the Baleful Tiger Ghost was sizing up the people, 2 people with vigorous vitality suddenly appeared in front of him. When he saw the 2 people, the Baleful Tiger Ghost's eyes lit up. He then gestured to the protectors behind him to get the 2 people in front of him. However, before the protector beside the Baleful Tiger Ghost could move, the 2 people jumped onto the platform. The Baleful Tiger Ghost was stunned. Could it be that he was so charming now? He had not even opened his mouth to summon them, and these people had already jumped onto the platform and delivered themselves to him. The 2 of you also want to be my disciple. The Baleful Tiger Ghost straightened his body and looked at the young man and woman in front of him like an expert in cultivation. Since they had delivered themselves to him, there was nothing more to say. He would take them down first and then slowly train them. I'll worship your mother. Li Zongjiu flew up and kicked the Baleful Tiger Ghost in the face. The Baleful Tiger Ghost fell to the ground. The 4 protectors on the platform and the many followers below all stared with wide eyes. The Baleful Tiger Ghost Lord, who was preaching to them, was actually beaten down. In the hearts of these followers, the Baleful Tiger Ghost army was an invincible force. You dare to hit me? Cripple him. The Baleful Tiger Ghost was enraged after being kicked to the ground by Li Zongjiu. He then flipped himself up and summoned the 4 protectors behind him. However, before the 4 protectors could do anything, Li Zongjiu had already stepped forward. He grabbed the Tiger Fiend Ghost, lifted it up, and smashed it on the ground. Boom! The Tiger Fiend Ghost's body slammed into the podium, creating a huge crater. The four protectors wanted to stop him. Li Yun pulled out a crimson longsword and slashed at the four protectors. The crimson longsword exploded with terrifying power. The baleful Tiger Ghost Lord sent the four protectors flying. "Where is the woman that you took away?" Li Zongjiu grabbed the heavily injured baleful Tiger Ghost Lord. Restrained by Li Zongjiu, the baleful Tiger Ghost Lord could not move at all. He could only stare at Li Zongjiu and gather his essence power quickly. He spat out a mouthful of black gas and wrapped it around Li Zongjiu's hand. Li Zongjiu pulled out his fist and punched him in the stomach. Bam! There was a loud bang. The baleful Tiger Ghost Lord's lifetime of cultivation dissipated with a soft thud. "You're asking for it." Li Zongjiu did not have the time to waste on this guy. He pried open the latter's eyeballs and sent a terrifying wave of spiritual power into the latter's eyes. Like a bandit, he plundered the baleful Tiger Ghost Lord's memories. Spiritual search. It would be a huge blow to the person being searched, and it would be a blow that would be difficult to recover from. In the end, the person would become a fool. Finally, Li Zongjiu found a figure in the latter's memories. But the image was very blurry. Clearly, the baleful Tiger Ghost Lord had not come into direct contact with the King of Fire. At the same time, the mysterious experts had not left any information behind. All memories of those people have been wiped. That's his style. Li Zongjiu's eyes flashed coldly. The baleful Tiger Ghost Lord in his hand had lost all struggle. Li Zongjiu tossed it aside like a piece of trash. "Let's go. Find the next one," Li Zongjiu said. At this time, Li Yan had already crippled the four protectors. The hundreds of followers below were watching the scene with their mouths agape. Just where did these two gods come from? Chapter 1068. One of the three heavyweights of the city, Tiger Fiend Ghostly Lord, had been beaten into a cripple by two mysterious men who had descended from the sky on his own platform. After such a situation occurred, many people were taken aback. He simply couldn't believe that this was true. Tiger Fiend Ghostly Lord was strong and ruthless. No one dared to offend him. But now, he had been crippled in his own territory. This made people feel a little scared just by listening to it. Could they have offended someone they could not afford to offend? At the same time, after the leaders of the other two forces in the city heard this, they were also gloating. Some of them even kept clapping and cheering. Once Tiger Fiend Ghostly Lord was crippled. Wasn't their territory just the right time to expand? As one of the three major underworlds, the Bloodwing Ghostly Lord had grasped this opportunity well. This was naturally the best opportunity to send people out to take over Tiger Fiend Ghostly Lord's territory and resources. The leader of the underworlds. The Bloodwing Ghostly Lord and Tiger Fiend Ghostly Lord were equal in strength. Therefore, the two underworlds were usually at peace. Now that they knew the Tiger Fiend Ghostly army was in trouble, they naturally had to take advantage of the situation. However, after the Bloodwing Ghostly Lord gathered his men and was ready to set off, he opened the door and saw two figures standing at the entrance. "Who are you?" When he saw Li Zongjiu and Wu Yu, the disciple who opened the door was stunned. "This is the Bloodwing Ghostly Lord." Li Zongjiu opened the scroll in his hand. When he saw the name on it, he asked. "Yes, who are you?" Bam! Li Zongjiu kicked out. The person was sent flying. "Who is the Bloodwing Ghostly Lord?" After kicking away the person in front of them, Li Zongjiu and Luo Yuan walked in to take a look. They discovered that there were already a few square formations arranged in the spacious courtyard. The Bloodwing Ghostly Lord was installing his own pair of blood-red steel wings. This pair of wings was his weapon. It was strange. After installing them, they were like his own arms. He could control them freely. It was a terrifying sight. Often, before you could even see it, it would have already reaped your life with a flap of its wings. Who's looking for me? The blood-winged ghostly lord saw that the other party had come with ill intentions, and immediately frowned coldly. His subordinates also began to tense up, staring coldly at the person before them. The weapons in their hands were also strange. Get over here. Li Zongjio said straightforwardly. As he spoke, he also used a hidden force. In an instant, this hidden force erupted. Under this hidden force, the numerous seemingly ferocious disciples directly spat out blood as their bodies flew backwards. Finally, he fell heavily to the ground. Boom! All of them fell to the ground. How dare you hit my men? When the blood-winged ghostly lord saw this, he was first enraged. However, when he saw that the duo seemed familiar, his face froze. You're the ones who defeated the fiend tiger ghostly lord. When he saw Li Zongjio and Wu Yu's team, the blood-winged ghostly lord's mind suddenly lit up. With such strength, they would come knocking on his door to kill him. This was to the blood-winged ghostly lord. For someone who could defeat the fiend tiger ghostly lord, defeating him would be a simple matter. More importantly, the blood-winged ghostly lord was a very cautious person. Although he was strong, he would never be careless. He had never seen this person before. It was impossible for him to become enemies. Since he could not fight them head-on, he might as well calm them down first. Why are you looking for me? We've minded our own business. Since you're here, tell me your name. The blood-winged ghostly lord said in a low voice. Although he was admitting defeat, he still had to maintain his dignity. Who are the people who came here the day before? Li Zongjio said slowly. Seeing the blood-winged ghostly lord in this state, Li Zongjio knew that there was no need for him to make a move. If he could explain himself, Li Zongjio would not have to waste so much effort. The day before. You're saying. You're talking about the people from Mount Wu. The blood-winged ghostly lord thought back. Although he was surprised, he heaved a sigh of relief. So they were looking for the people from Mount Wu, and not him. At least they would not do anything to him. You are looking for Wu Shan and his group, right? They are not to be trifled with. They came to Jade City a few days ago, but they have already left. I heard that they are going to some demon-suppressing palace to look for something. The blood-winged ghostly lord said in a low voice. Did you kidnap a girl? Li Yun asked. So many people actually had designs on her master. Li Yun was, of course, furious. It was these people who were after her master. They had committed crimes here, and even offended her master. This was something she could not tolerate. Yes, but it was their people who did it. We couldn't interfere at all. We just led the way. The blood-winged ghostly lord nodded repeatedly, and made it clear that this matter had nothing to do with him. Mount Wu. Demon Suppression Palace. Li Zongjio's eyes shone with a cold light. The Demon Suppression Palace was about to open, and the location was near the Haiku dynasty. Therefore, the Haiku dynasty had been inviting experts from all over. Of course, they had to invite people with some status. Ordinary people would definitely not be able to accept the invitation. Besides, Li Zongjio had learned from Wan Yolan's message that Black Canal Basilica had made preparations in the Demon Suppression Palace this time. They wanted to take down Li Zongjio and the others. It was an operation against Li Zongjio. However, who would lose out in this matter was still unknown. Originally, Li Zongjio had been preparing to set off. However, after the incident with the Fire Wraith King, he decided to come to Jade City first. Wu Tian's target was also the Demon Suppression Palace. Other than that, there were no other clues. Wu Tian, if it's really you, then don't blame me. Li Zongjio said coldly. The blood-winged ghostly lord saw that Li Zongjio seemed to be deep in thought, and felt a little lucky. Sir, This has nothing to do with me. You have to be clear. If you can extinguish this flame, I'll let bygones be bygones. With that, Li Zhongjie flicked his finger, and a flame flew out, landing on the Blood-Wing Ghostly Lord's body. Before the Blood-Wing Ghostly Lord could react, the flame had already burned through his heart. And then his entire body was burned to a crisp. Before he died, he only had time to let out a loud cry. Looks like I have to make a trip to the Demon Suppression Palace. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.